Hey everybody, glad you're here. I am having some trouble getting my chat open. Why are you not working? Why? The chat tab is not responding. Did I click the incorrect thing? It's always possible. It's always possible, folks. Here we go. Weird. Got that going. Okay, how's everybody doing? We got the show rolling today. This day is Monday. You knew that, and you'll hear all about it during the show. I am just now sending out. Hopefully I am. Where is it? There it is. Okay, text message going out right now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll teach you. You can text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. That will put you on our text message alert system. Texting the word Canary to 877-740-3226 will put you on a list. Don't worry, we don't take any personal information. We don't sell the list. We don't do nothing. All we do is send out an alert before every show, so you never miss a show, because YouTube and big tech, they love not sending our notifications when we go live. So it'll help you catch the show. And once in a while, maybe like 3 times a year, we send you something if like a deadline is approaching for some program or something. Other than that, it's a great way to stay in touch. You can also join our newsletter. Do that by heading to canarycry.party. Over there at canarycry.party, you will also see a button for canarycry.report. Canarycry.report is the new way to send in articles and stories to the show. You are much more likely to get our attention by going to canarycry.report and sending us an article that way. So give it a try. A couple people already did give it a try, and they got articles on the show today. So there you go. All right, I think we're getting the show started. Let's do it. I'm going to put on some chapstick.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is February 20th, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 593. And today, DAVOLOD versus Goliath. Signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gonz, formerly of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live to tape from California, to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. Today's emergent phenomena, Nephilimic.
Woo! No explanation necessary.
None. The show will explain itself.
Mm-hmm.
Are you
yeah.
ready to, you ready to do the show?
Sorry, I didn't know what happened after that. I'm ready. I'm ready for the show. I'm excited. I'm stoked. Got the energy. It's a big day. It's a big, important day, Gonz, and we'll get into that in just a second. But before that, let's open up that big old can of disclaimer.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys.
Good boys.
That's
Susan
right.
is not
There's
there
no
anymore.
Susan. Well, she is there. She's facilitating the transition.
Okay.
But we're going to need to learn the new guy's name so we can talk to him specifically.
Yeah, I already forgot it. It's not good.
Me too. Let me give you a rundown. We'll jump right into it.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Big day, big exciting day. We're going to be starting out with our lead story about you-know-who. It is the one, the only, the most, the bad boy of corporate media. Chris Shillzilla. It is his birthday. In honor of Chris Shillilla's birthday, we'll be catching up with him, what he's been up to since getting the boot from CNN, and maybe providing him a gift, a birthday gift of our own advice as he wanders the desert on a YouTube channel with no name, trying to make his way in the online media space. But then we checking in with Flippy and a new phenomenon that I found quite exciting, which is the Robot Employment Agency. We'll be talking about that. Then we'll checking in with Ukraine and Russia. Of course, Biden making a visit to Kyiv, in the middle of a war zone. At any moment, bombs could have dropped and ended the whole thing. We'll tell you whether that happened or not. Then we've got an interesting breakdown and what I think as a very high value opportunity for some media literacy, an exercise for all of us in, just understanding what's going on in the media. And we'll be doing it in regards to FBI, neo-Nazis, Marines, January 6th, more FBI and more Marines. It's going to be incredible. Then, second half of show, we're doing AI, baby. AI down the board. It's all the way AI. But that's how the world's going to be. AI is going to have everything to do with everything soon, so we might as well get used to it. And the mainstream media backing up what I previously revealed about the AI known as Replica. We'll throw some aliens in there for you, too. Can't miss those guys. End of the show, Antarctica, Nephilim update. Don't miss it. Let's get into those lead stories, Gonz.
Shill for sure.
It's true. Blow up the balloons, everybody. Blow them up with helium, set them free, and then blow them up with Sidewinder missiles, because that's what we do, because this is America, and it is Chris Shillzilla's birthday.
Yay.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the balloons here. Where are the balloons, Twitter?
That's right.
There they are. There
it
are the
is
balloons.
his birthday, because when you visit his Twitter page, balloons float up from the bottom of the page to the top of the page. It's very exciting. I did not know that was a feature of Twitter. Is that an Elon edition, or is that always happening?
I had that on my birthday a couple weeks ago. I went to my Twitter account and balloons popped up, and I thought, wow,
so
how
fun.
Appropriate. The weaponization continues.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So fun. Yes, balloons, the most important thing in the world.
Yeah.
So for those who might be new to our program here, Chris Shillzilla, we've been following him for many years. We have a very complicated relationship. He was sort of, editor at large was what was on the name card, but he was sort of the out of the office, online correspondent, usually for politics, but he also tried his best to cover some sports. I don't know. Maybe he did a great job. I'm not a sports guy. I don't know. But he was one of the most recent casualties over at CNN with the new ownership, the new change of philosophy. They're trying to move away from punditry and opinion-based journalism.
They didn't like his bong thoughts, his whole podcast experiment over there.
Welcome to Bong Thoughts with Chris Shillzilla.
Lots of meatballs, delicious.
Chris, we're going to offer you a lot of birthday presents today, and one of them is this idea for your new podcast. Yes, Downside Up, by the way, is a CNN-owned property. The podcast that Chris Shillzilla hosted for about 3 months.
So he couldn't take it with him, huh?
No, I don't think so.
I was playing CNN clips just now, not Chris Shillzilla clips. I apologize, Chris.
Well, as we'll see as we look more into what Chris is currently doing, those lines between CNN and Chris Shillzilla are still a little fuzzy. Okay. And I think he's leveraging that quite well. But yes, his podcast, Downside Up, go listen to it. Take as much of it as you can, folks. September 15th is when it came out with the teaser, and then last episode was December 5th. 10 episodes. Did you lose me for a second?
I lost your video. You flew around the screen like you were excited about Chris. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, podcast listeners, which is 99% of you.
You just imagine Basil floating around the screen for just a second, and then he's returned.
No, don't imagine that. But imagine Chris Shillzilla. Poor guy. So yes, I don't think Downside Up is owned by him. It says CNN right on the podcast page. We've already talked about that, so we don't need to. But I will say the first of our birthday presents to Chris Shillzilla is he can take the Bong Thoughts opening music. Because, we are officially saying that, Chris, if you start a podcast called Bong Thoughts with Chris Shillzilla, you can use this music for free. You don't even need to credit us. People will find out. Now, he's, as I said, even before the inklings, when I think we are more in tune with the career of Chris Shillzilla than he even is. And I mean that in a positive light. No knock against him, but I mean, we've called every single move so far. And, we knew that he was going to need to go independent. That was his only option. Independent is the way to go for Chris. And he started moving in that direction. He started doing the podcast. He started, doing more YouTube. In fact, on January 25th or so, he started his YouTube channel.
Well, he's had his YouTube channel for a while. I think he started some new stuff on it. Is what I understand. Because
according to his tweet, on January 25th, 2023, he says, "I am launching my YouTube channel today.
Yes.
You can watch the trailer here, my first episode here.
Yeah, first episode.
You can also subscribe here."
Yeah.
So, of course, he's been on YouTube for a long time, working for CNN. But I think this is his personally owned channel, which is good. He needed to do this. He should have started it long time ago, but who knows? I don't know what was in his contract.
Sure.
He's currently sitting a month, we're about a month in here, currently sitting at 705 subscribers. Okay.
Well, here's what I want to know. How did he get that check mark? His verified check mark? Is that just a perk of being part
Chris
of the
Shillzilla.
He's CNN. Why would I even doubt?
He's the darling of CNN online content. Of course he gets a check mark. 705 subscribers. That's okay. That's fine. It's a fine start, Chris.
I'm looking at his videos, and it goes from, the So What, which started 3 weeks ago. Then he has an introduction to So What. Then before that, it was 13 years ago when he published a video. and he's got a bunch of stuff between 13 and 15 years ago. A young,
interesting.
spry-looking Chris.
So maybe it was
videos.
like a relaunch?
I think he just went back to his original channel. So yeah, there's
right.
tons of videos of him from way back when.
Good point. Yeah, it looks like he had a personal, maybe it was his personal channel 13 years ago. He was making, maybe those are the videos that got him to the job at
CNN.
Not CNN.
Oh, it was early.
I think it was Washington Post or something. I don't know. I don't want to get it wrong on his birthday. Let me pull up.
Well, maybe he can correct us. Correct us, Chris, if we got it wrong.
I would love for Chris to start correcting me on all sorts of things, Christopher. I've reached out many times. Now, things I don't think are happening as quickly for Chris as any of us would hope, since his CNN departure. He still has over 600,000 Twitter followers.
What is up with that?
It's crazy, especially considering his tweets get on the regular less engagement than mine do. And I have 1,400 followers on Twitter. I'm a baby. I'm a Twitter baby. So what is the deal? Are these bots? What's up with the low engagement?
You need to blame right-wing extremist Elon Musk for turning off the bots on Twitter when he took over, and Chris's jig is up on Twitter. Apparently 600,200 and...
You think they're bots, or do you think he's getting shadow banned or something? He has his blue check mark, so he should be getting lots of attention.
Yeah, well, maybe he's flagged for other reasons. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Or maybe, who knows? Lots of options. I don't know why. The numbers don't make sense, Chris. Another thing I would love for you to explain. Now, his YouTube page, what is it called? Chris Shillzilla. It's very simple. Chris Shillzilla. He's got his new show called So What? That is also the name of his new Substack, right? Is it Substack? Yeah. Is it called So What? We should get it right, because...
Well, I'd let him tell me. So what? Yeah, a deeply depressing chart of the future of media. So
right.
It's chrisshillzilla.substack.com. So I don't know if it's properly... Well, yeah, maybe it's titled So What at the top. So
yeah, I think that's sort of the branding he's got on it. So what? Okay. So, by the way, another gift, Chris. So Chris is sort of trying his best to leverage the Twitter algorithms in all sorts of ways. One of the ways he's doing this, and I want to look into it to see if this is real or not, he is making threads. A lot of his tweets are threads, where you put a series of tweets together. And you usually do this when you have much more to write about than you can fit in 240 characters, right? You'll do 1, 240 characters, 2, 240 characters, 3, 240 characters. But these tweets he's doing have like 8 words in them. He has a whole thread on Twitter that's like 6. It's separated out into 4 or 5 different tweets, and they're all like 8 words. He can put them in one tweet. I don't know why he's doing this thread thing. I think maybe he's onto something with the algos that we don't know about. Well, because otherwise it makes no sense.
It could be an old algorithmic trick that maybe is not working as much anymore, because out of this first out of the series I'm looking at here with his birthday tweet, he's got 12,000 views, 34 likes on his birthday request tweet, which, come on, folks, give him a little more love on his birthday. But then his series of tweets, it shows that the first tweet, or the second one in the thread here, 1,800 views, third one, 5,900 views, and then his link has 6,335 views, but they all only have 7, 6, 8 hearts or whatever. So maybe he's trying to,
so maybe the views go into the algo or something
somehow. Yeah.
Anyways,
exactly sure.
I think he is onto something. I'm sure he's doing this for a reason, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He has a reason. But here it is, folks. His tweet this morning at 8:22 a.m. Thread 1 out of 4. He says, "Today is my birthday, and I have a request for you."
It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Happy birthday to me.
Next tweet in the thread. Take 1 minute and sign up for my new at Substack Inc. newsletter. It's mostly free, he said.
his parentheticals is off. He's got two closing parentheticals, but only one opening.
You're right. He's missing an opening parenthetical. That's okay. He doesn't have the CNN, resources anymore to get his parentheticals right. Okay, so the whole next thing. So he has a Substack. He's announcing as a birthday gift, he wants us to subscribe to it. Third tweet, I write about politics, culture, and my life. Usually 2 posts a day.
Wow, busy
That's
man.
pretty good.
Yeah.
2 posts a day, usually.
Yeah.
A lot of, he is putting a lot of sort of usually, mostly type of stuff. But that's okay. You know, he's independent now. He's not beholden to corporate.
Don't you love that freedom, Chris?
Yeah, I hope he does. I hope he sticks with it. And then fourth tweet says, it's fun and, parenthetical, I hope, informative. You can sign up for free here. Chris,
you got to exude more confidence,
you
my
gotta
brother.
have some more confidence,
you gotta
buddy.
have more confidence about being informative.
Too much.
I hope it's at least the fun part. Hey, you can have fun, but I don't know.
What is the phrase for that sort of rhetoric? It's not a disclaimer. It's not a. He's sort of hedging his bets a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's not exuding very much confidence.
No.
So Chris, come on, buddy. You're in the Wild West now. You got to exude confidence. You got to survive. To survive out here in the independent media space, you got to be confident. No more of these parentheticals, buddy.
Okay.
And then he has a link here to So What? His Chris Shillzilla Substack. I don't have a Substack.
Yeah,
how do you sign up for this
I
sort of stuff?
did, and then I got all blocked out of it, so I don't know what the thing is. They told me that I violated something. I haven't even posted anything on Substack, so. And then I like your solution.
You're saying separately.
Me personally, I tried to
Substack.
start my but it's hilarious because I like what you told me. You said just start a new Substack.
I thought you should just start a new Substack.
In principle, it's making me upset. So
okay, so here's the thing. I just plugged in my email. I was gonna subscribe to his Substack because
here's what I'll do for Chris. I am
personal
not following
friend.
him. Yeah, I'm not following him on Twitter. So happy birthday, Chris! I'm going to do it live on air. Here it is. Boom.
Oh, good.
Following Chris.
Both do it. Just in case anybody's
I thought you
wondering,
were already
$5 a
him.
month gets you subscriber-only posts and full archive, and posts and comments, and join the community. For $50 a year, you can get subscriber-only posts, full archive, post comments, and join the community. And it's 17% cheaper. Founding member. Ooh.
This is how we take over the
Founding
Shillzilla estate. We slowly
good.
creep in. We sponsor. We make demands.
Yeah,
we'll be the advertisers.
We can be his corporate sponsor.
Yeah.
Okay. To be a founding member of Chris Shillilla's Substack, we get the subscriber-only posts and full archive, and post comments and join the community. That doesn't seem like there's any benefit to be a founding member. You gotta put some sort of benefit there. I don't know why I would do this. $240 a year.
Ooh.
Be a founding member. Ooh. Well, there's also the free option. I'm going with that. Continue without paying. Here we go. Recommended by So What? Okay, I don't want this. I don't want the recommendations. I'm here for you, Chris. I'm not here for anybody else. Oh, there's a subscriber chat. Okay, I'm in. I'm now subscribed to Chris Shillilla's Substack. I consider this. Maybe I should become a founding member. I don't know if producers would enjoy their support being spent that way, but it's part of my job. It's a business expense. We could write it off. I got to keep up with Chris. Sure. It's part of my job.
So
we'll discuss that later.
Part of his blog post, or not blog post, his Substack. I'm sorry. Let me be more accurate here. His Substack was his surprise that so many people distrust mainstream media. And
yes. So I quoted, by the way, I quote tweeted this tweet of his. On this tweet, he last checked, let's see, he has 5 likes out of his 622,000 followers.
You must be his only quote tweet. There's one quote tweet. That must be
I am the only quote tweet. That's right. I am almost always his only quote tweet. I am the most prolific Chris Shillzilla participant that's on Twitter right now. And he said, he wrote an article. I didn't read it, but I looked at the chart. A deeply depressing chart. I
actually read it, Chris. Okay.
Well, good.
I sat there and read it for you. Okay.
Okay, you tell me about it. This is a deeply depressing chart on the future of media. And I quote tweeted him. I hope he took it in the right way. I did mention that you can take the man out of corporate media and you can't take the corporate media out of the man. But this might be the article. It's kind of feels like he's trying to get back into corporate media with this. But you read it. Tell me what was the deal.
Okay, so it's titled "A Deeply Depressing Chart on the Future of Media." Subtitle: Oomph. And he talks about how he was wearing an America Needs Journalists shirt and how he was getting all kinds of different looks from people. And then he cites this Knight Foundation and Gallup poll, and he talks about the triple whammy of bad, which is that the media has the resources to cover the stories fairly and accurately, but they not only don't do that, but they actively, quote, intend to mislead, misinform, and persuade the public. That's what this people that took this poll believe. And then news organizations do not care.
Triple whammy of bad?
Yes, this is triple whammy of bad. So he is not embracing his independence right now.
Look, I have been following this individual, this media professional for years now. Triple whammy of bad is the most Chris Shillzilla thing that has ever been typed out on an American computer. I just want to put that out there. I want Chris to feel seen.
Yeah, well, the sports ball, well, I mean, it's not exact sports ball, but you got your 3 strikes and out kind of mentality there,
Sure.
But anyway, so he goes through all this stuff and all the propaganda, Tucker Carlson spreading fake news and all this kind of stuff. And then at the very end, he says, unfortunately, we are already further down that road, which is distrust of mainstream media. And it's currently in the political interest of the Republican Party to push the idea that the media can't be trusted. What's the solution? In short term...
Wait, he's saying the not trusting the media is a Republican Party gambit?
Yes.
Chris! You can't do this, man. You know better, Chris. All right.
Well, he says the media is the media deserves some blame. And he says we do. Actually, this is an interesting paragraph. That's not that's not to say the media doesn't bear some blame. We do. He considers himself media.
He considers himself still a member of the mainstream corporate legacy media.
He says not everyone is in journalism for the right reasons. There are bad apples, and even good reporters make mistakes, miscalculations, or just miss something they shouldn't miss. But the facts don't change this one. A society with the free and independent media is a much stronger society. The erosion of trust in the press, wherever its origins, poses an existential threat to democracy. And we're much further along because the Republicans keep pushing this idea that media can't be trusted. What's the solution in short term? I have no idea. Thanks, Chris. In the long term, it's a commitment to transparency in journalism. Okay.
Yeah.
Showing our work so that people know they can have faith in it. Maybe. Period. End of article.
Yep. That's a Chris Shillzilla, Chris Shillzilla.
Definitely the uncertainty,
article.
Passive aggressive, the maybe it's helpful or informative. I don't know.
He's identifying. He's still identifying. Chris,
he does.
I'm here for you, Chris. You got to go independent, buddy. You cannot, they're not going to let you back in.
Well, he might be.
I want them to let Chris back in. I hope he can get back in because he is like he's my lifeline to a lot of these.
Well, I think he sees the cash flow and he sees where the biggest rivers or the waterfalls of cash flow are, and it's not independent media.
Well, it could be Substack. It says
could be Substack,
his Substack says he has over 4,000 Substack followers.
That's pretty good.
Now, how many of those are paying? I don't know, but I will say he gets more engagement on his Substack likes and stuff than he does on Twitter. So, out of his 4,000 Substack followers, he got 36 likes on the deeply depressing chart article. That's something.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
okay. Well, happy birthday, Chris.
Happy birthday, Chris. By the way, Chris's new book is coming out soon.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody just
do a
know
chapter
that.
by chapter review. Are we going to get the breakdown?
It's called Power Players: Sports, Politics, and the American Presidency.
Oh.
It's a book about presidents who play golf.
Oh,
At least that's what it used to be.
Hey, this might be an in, Basil.
It's
I'm
a golf
watching the
book.
sports did good. Ooh, did the ball go?
It's available for pre-order on sale April 18th. So, yeah, maybe if he's going on the podcast circuit to promote his book, we can get him on the podcast.
I think it's more than golf. I think it's all sports. It looks
Could be.
because it's got Obama playing, with the basketball. It's got Bush Jr. with the baseball throwing out the first pitch.
Yeah, I read
Trump in WWE. Kennedy with the golf club. Okay, so yeah.
He wrote an article about it once, and he specifically was talking about how golf is like, I don't know. He mentioned the same sort of idea about golf being like a through line in American politics. I didn't know it was about all sports. I thought it was about golf.
Well, maybe there's something there. Yeah.
I love how, he has Trump, notorious golfer, like infamous golfing man.
He owns a whole resort with his own golf course.
It's multiple golf courses.
Yeah.
And the picture chosen for Trump on the front of the book is him at a wrestling match.
Holding up the arm of some nebulous wrestler.
Yeah, wrestling is Trump's,
Well, Chris is making the point that, it's all of Trump.
For show.
K-fob. Maybe if I send video of my golf swing from my first day golfing in 35 years to Chris and be like, hey, give me some presidential tips, give me some stuff that can get me in with the.
I think Chris has a lot to teach both of us, Gonz, and I hope he understands my good personal friend Chris Shillzilla. I hope that doesn't count as liable or defamatory or something.
I think so. I mean, we give this guy a lot of airtime. I mean,
look, I'm not saying that Chris isn't my good, close personal friend, but I am saying he will deny it. He will deny that we are close personal friends. And that's just how we get along. That's like our joke together. As he pretends to not know me, and he's the most important person in my life.
You should wear that whole apparatus with the VR headset and the googly eyes, as you do in your daily life, and just plan it so you bump into him at a Starbucks or something. Hey,
manufacture some sort of meat.
Yes,
a meat cute.
Yeah,
Can I get a meat cute? I'm sorry, producers. Some of the producer funds are going to manufacture a theatrical meet cute with Chris Shillzilla. I might need to buy him coffee, or maybe if it's something cute, like I accidentally spill like my hot chocolate on his shirt or something, I'll have to pay for a new shirt for Chris. But it'll be worth it. It's all in the name.
I do.
We both want the same thing, Chris and I. We both want to restore journalistic integrity in the American news, corporate news.
Now his Twitter profile says today is their birthday. Does Chris identify as a they or the?
Like the Twitter.
Yeah, a little profile
headline.
It's got Washington D.C. joined in 2008.
Today is their birthday.
Their birthday.
That's a good question. Yeah. It's probably like that for everybody.
Sure.
Probably just an ease of code or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not that I know of. Another great question that I would love to ask Chris Shillzilla in person. Chris, look, I know this will eventually make it to you. We're gonna clip this happy birthday message. We sincerely wish you a happy birthday. Everybody listening, our entire fan base, we're huge fans, some for different reasons than others. And I swear to you, if anybody is mean to Chris on his birthday, I will call down the full force of the Canary upon you. But who knows? Somebody in his orbit will listen to this, and I just want to make an offer. You're in the independent news media space. Stay there. Don't go back. You don't need to go back. You don't need to. They have you convinced. They have you brainwashed that you need them more than they need you, Chris, and it's not true. You can make it in the independent space. I believe in you, and to help you out, come on the podcast. I promise you it will be a puff piece on Chris Shillzilla. We'll get you some followers. We'll get some paying Substack people. I guarantee it. Just answer my emails. And if you meet a man at the Starbucks wearing a VR headset and googly eyes, it's a meet cute, and just go along with it.
Don't be like Lot's wife, Chris. You'll turn into a pillar of salt.
That's right. That's a really good point, Gonz. Don't look back. It is the Lord's wrath will turn you to salt or something.
Something, yeah. There you go.
All right. Happy birthday to the one, the only Chris Shillzilla. Everybody go wish him a happy birthday. And keep a lookout for his book on April 18th about golf or whatever.
Golf or whatever.
Yeah. And with that, Gonz, it is Monday.
It is Monday. Birthday Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Monday?
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
That's right. It's Monday. We're starting it again. We're doing the whole thing again, folks. We're doing it together. We're happy you're starting your week out with us. Any exciting news over the weekends, Gonz?
I have to say the most exciting moment of the weekend was when you sent me a text and you said, "Seen dis?" We talk awesome in chat. But anyway, it was a screenshot of the Serapium.com, and the headline was, "Tomb of Nephilim Giant Gilgamesh found, and Hillary asks for access to his resurrection rejuvenation technology and leaked emails."
Yes.
And I thought, whoa, that's some craziness.
Hillary Clinton allegedly, through FOIA requests, people have found out that in 2018, Hillary Clinton requested all files on the burial site of Gilgamesh and the location of the Nephilim, and it is actually there. You go look up the FOIA request. You can see in her emails she had requested the burial site of Gilgamesh and the location of the Nephilim.
Now I went and verified it and all that kind of stuff, and it's there. It's the mention of Nephilim and Gilgamesh chamber, and it's all there in those emails. And I messaged one of my good friends about it. I was like, "Hey, have you seen this? This is craziness." And he wrote back, "Hey, dude, we talked about this like 3 years ago." And I was like,
"Who's we?
Really?
You and him,
me
or
and
you
him?
and
yeah,
me?
No, me and him, me and my friend." And I thought, and I was like, I kind of remember the talk about the Gilgamesh resurrection chamber, but I feel like I would have. My brain would have gone off more if I knew there was a mention of a buried Nephilim within those emails. Maybe it was that part of
you're saying you talked about Hillary Clinton specifically.
I think so, because this apparently came out.
But when? Did you just say 10 years ago?
No,
when did
not
you
10,
say?
not 10. It was like a couple years ago, maybe like 2020 or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that sounds good. Yeah. Apparently people have known this. I don't know. I didn't know this.
Yeah. So anyway, verified it, but I completely forgot that we had talked about it. So, hey, getting old, that's life. So thank you for reminding me how old I am getting and how my mind is deteriorating.
People who meet us in person too, they know this. And the problem is we talk about so many things, and we've been doing it for so long, and we now are doing just an obscene amount of content every week that so many things don't stick in our brains. I've had people come up and be like, "Oh, I can't believe that one thing about that one fact in a Canary Cry radio episode from 2014. And I'm like, I'm glad to hear that too, because I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
And I've had people be like think I'm a faker or something. Like, you're not the real Basil. You don't remember the very specific sentence that somebody said 10 years ago on a podcast? I'm like, no, I'm so sorry. I wish I did. So anyways, we may have talked about it. I don't know.
I don't know that we I mean, I don't know. I feel like it would have been, maybe one of our listeners can pull up a Nephilim update and we actually did it, you know?
Yeah, because we've been doing Nephilim updates for many more years than this show.
Yeah. So
anyway,
so
who knows? Maybe we talked about Hillary Clinton requesting the burial location of
I have to say, though, you know, being in this sort of realm of the whatever you want to call it, fringe, alt, whatever. It's not really alt anymore. We're on the bleeding edges, I suppose. But it's kind of, I do have to remind myself that there's a lot of new people discovering some of this stuff and just the whole genre of information for the first time. And sometimes it's just like they freak out about something, and my response is, oh yeah, yes. Yeah. And I feel bad about it afterwards. Like, I shouldn't respond that way.
No, that's a
new
jerky
to them,
move.
you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like even this.
Yes.
Maybe this is the first time somebody is hearing that Hillary Clinton was requesting the burial site of Gilgamesh and the location of the Nephilim, released in a FOIA request from 2018.
Sure.
Who knows? I don't know. It was news to me, so I'm sure it was news to somebody else. Yeah, that was exciting. Did I have... I buried my first bunny this weekend.
That's sad.
Yeah. One of the little guys didn't make it. Cause of death unknown. I don't know what happened.
You made sure to label it, the C19, right? Because you get a little extra cash.
Put it on the
cash in the mail.
And put the death on the death certificate.
Death certificate. Suspected C19. You know,
that's how I'm gonna make these bunnies really pay off.
Yeah.
They're all suddenly dying.
Bunnies dying suddenly on Basil's.
Yeah.
You can make a whole documentary about it. Get some dramatic music in there. Yeah.
Well, so that was sad. I don't know why it happened, but that's why I have like 30 more.
What's the ultimate goal here? Is it just
ultimate
giving them
goal,
away, or is it the consumption?
I don't even understand what an ultimate goal even is at this point.
Okay, they just are there and they're reproducing.
Well, the plan was, to kind of have a meat source. I was going to say,
that's an honorable way to
process them. That's kind of that's the end goal. I have yet to do that. Honestly, that's just the thing. I need to get on it.
Yeah, get on it.
But also, whoever needs a bunny, if they need a pet bunny, I don't care what they do with the bunny as long as they get it out of here.
I have a video from a buddy that I will send you after this show today. It will get you really stoked about your bunnies.
Okay. Well, that's such a mysterious thing to say, but I'll take it. Yes. Okay. And with that, what am I going to say? Oh, executive producers. Let's thank some people.
Executive producers.
That's right. We're on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. Chris Shillzilla should give it a try. You don't need corporations getting their greedy little hands in independent media. It's the problem with the media in the first place. There's all sorts of problems, but it all goes back to who's paying the bills. Well, here, no corporate money whatsoever. No advertising dollars, affiliate codes, platform partnerships, no nothing. We are entirely funded by the people like you who receive value from the show. It's value for value. So we create value. We make the show as often and as well as we can. And if the show brings any value to your life, you have the opportunity, some might even say the responsibility, to put some value back in. Because when people stop putting value back in, then the show stops. That's just sort of the law of the universe. This is how it's going to work. It is the mechanism of existence and non-existence. If it weren't for people putting value into this show, we would be unable to continue it in the way that we are. And you can do that all sorts of ways. It's not just money. You can do it with your time, your talent, or your treasure. But the executive producers are those who come in, they're honest and generous with the value that this show brings to their life, and they put that value back in. And that's why we thank them at the top of the show. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Today, at this moment, we have one executive producer for the day.
Okay.
And that executive producer's name is executive producer Trevor G.
Trevor G. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Trevor G. We appreciate it. Came in with a nice round number, which means we will not disclose it on the air. Little tip for everybody. If you would prefer we keep your amount confidential, just make it a nice, simple, round number. If you don't mind us sharing the amount, make it a funky number, a fun number. Some people send messages. Some people do Bible verses. Some people just add 33 cents or something like that. That's a great way to do it. So yes, thank you very much. Executive producer, Trevor G.
Where'd you find this?
All right, thank you very much.
And that is it for now. But Gonz, alert, we have some very important people we need to talk about. That's right, it's the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council, the shadowy organization of unknown elites around the world who are part of a secret society of people who will be receiving the only T-shirts to ever be created for Canary Cry News Talk. That's right, we don't sell things. We're not in the retail business. We don't do merch. We don't do nothing. But for those who join the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council, we will start sending them free T-shirts every quarter. And to join the council, of course, just produce the show for $19.84 per month. You can go to canarycrytshirtcouncil.com to do so. It's becoming a very popular council. And I highly recommend it. It's the most illustrious secret society you could possibly join. And they are devoted to truth, godliness, and comfortable, fashionable streetwear in the form of T-shirts. Of course, it's called a council because they will have decision-making power in which shirts get made and which don't. And we thank them very much for their service. canarycrytshirtcouncil.com. And we've got a few people, of course, Gonz, as we know, the people who are on the council are the most important people in the world. And we're going to thank them right now. Are you ready?
Ready.
Most important person in the world, Mr. Paul G.
Paul G. Thank you
very much.
Paul Gilbert, the 80s guitar player?
Sure, probably.
Awesome.
Next up, the next most important person in the world coming down, we got Ashley B.
Ashley B, thank you.
Thank you very much. Another most important person on the entire planet, or the pancake, we have Yvonne V.
Yvonne V, thank you very much.
Another most important person to have ever walked the face of the earth is Ivy E.
Ivy E.
Cool,
thank you.
And coming in right at the last second here, but doesn't make him any less important, the most important person in the world, Derek H.
Derek H, thank you very much.
And that is it for now. Thank you so much for those who are joining the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. It means a lot to us. And it's these programs, of course, the Supply Drop being the first one, the T-Shirt Council being now another one. These are the only reason that we were able to survive last year. And seeing as how things aren't getting any better in this world, the T-Shirt Council people are the most important people in the world because they are helping us survive as the world continues to get shakier and shakier. This show could not survive without all of our producers, be they talent, time, or treasure. And you can learn more about all that by going to canarycryradio.com/support. canarycryradio.com/support. That's right. And I think with that, we should jump right into the Flippy update.
We will. Can you give me just 1 second? There is breaking information news. It's not really. It's
well. News. Is this something we want to break, or do we want to do something?
I don't know, man.
Well, I think I know what you're talking about, and you've said so much already, so we might as well do it. I was thinking that we could do something a little bit more. Okay,
but
maybe
I'm okay
do
with
both.
that. I'm actually okay with that. So yes. All
okay.
Right. Let's just go on with the show, and then we'll.
Yeah, the timing on that is not necessarily best to treat it with the proper treatment, but we can do it by the end of the show.
Okay.
Okay, Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. It's time for the FLIPPY update. FLIPPY is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about FLIPPY as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's FLIPPY update is coming from the Sunday Times. The headline is "The Robot That Could Replace America's Missing Factory Workers." Now, as we know, robots, they're coming for our jobs, they're coming for our hearts, they're coming for everything that has made us human. And personhood of robot has been a particular focus of ours through the FLIPPY update, because it's not just about taking our jobs. It's about being counted among the living, no longer an object, no longer a tool, but something with rights, with legal protections, with perhaps the ability to control their own destiny. Let's see what the Sunday Times has to say about it. The robot that could replace America's missing factory workers. Joe Biden allowed himself a victory lap.
Wow.
End of sentence. Just period.
That's the top of the story.
That's the opening sentence.
Okay.
Joe Biden allowed himself a victory lap. In his State of the Union speech this month, the president heralded the manufacturing boom that his policies had unleashed. Companies, apparently, were rushing to build factories and bring home plants shipped overseas in previous decades. But his triumphalism masked a far more sobering reality. Not many people want to work in manufacturing. Yeah, I mean, that's been sort of the talking point, at least for many years now. You know, that was the idea when Bill Clinton moved all that stuff overseas was, oh, Americans don't need to get their hands dirty. Plus, they're too expensive. But sobering reality for Joe Biden. Not many people want to work in manufacturing. As of December, 760,000 factory jobs sat unfilled, according to official figures. Every day, 10,000 baby boomers retire. And those who replace them in industry often do not stay. Manufacturing has an annual staff turnover rate of 40%. That's a lot. Did you know this?
No staff turnover. Well,
I mean, I'm not manufacturing anything, but 40%, that's pretty high.
It sounds high.
Meaning that
makes sense.
Every 2.5 years, a typical facility's entire workforce has to be rehired. Saman Fareed has a solution.
Oh, boy.
You know, whenever you see those words, has a solution, you know you're about to get sold something.
Problem, reaction, solution.
Yeah, the 36-year-old entrepreneur has set up a robot staffing agency that brings in machines. Oopsies. Oh, no. Sorry. I clicked a button. I got to learn not to click buttons. Don't click the buttons. That brings in machines to do the jobs firms are struggling to fill. He reckons a single robot arm installed by his San Francisco startup, Formic, can do the job of up to 8 people. It's interesting change in messaging here, of course. Over the years, we've gotten used to, no. The robots aren't going to replace you. They're here to help you. They're cobots. They're here to cooperate and make your job easier. Well, the guy who has the robot staffing agency reckons a single robot can replace 8 people. Talk about cooperation. Scare stories of machines replacing humans have done the rounds for decades, but in manufacturing, Fareed argues the need is pressing. The industry is running far below capacity due to the acute labor shortage. Jay Timmons, head of the National Association of Manufacturers, a trade group that represents more than 14,000 factory owners, said the biggest problem for 99.9%, they put in quotation marks because it's an entirely made-up number, of his members is finding people. So, robot staffing agency, Gonzo. It's not just, robo sales. It's not just, getting a new piece of hardware. It's staffing, and there's an agency for it. This presents a kind of a fun new scam. You know, you can dress up like a robot and
walk into
dress
one of
up
these
like a robot, walk into the staffing agency.
We would never pass the the tests that they would run, though. You know,
you mean the Turing test? We would never pass the Turing test.
I'm talking about whatever competency is required for whatever manufacturing that needs to be done by these arms.
The typical factory we go to, this is a quote, is 50 to 70% underutilized, and it's all because there's just not enough labor, Fareed said. Quote, for American industry to be competitive, the only answer is way, way, way more robots. Fareed, no.
Fareed.
And not like one here or there.
No. Not like one here, one there. Yeah, not scarce. We need floods.
Stop it. And not like one here, one there. But how do we get hundreds of thousands of robots into factories? For most companies, though, automation is hard. It's hard. It entails a granular breakdown of every function inside a plant, deciding which of those jobs can be done by a machine, and then spending hundreds of thousands of pounds on a robot that may or may not work as expected. Fareed knows this all too well. Before launching Formic 2 years ago, he ran Comet Labs, a venture capital firm that specialized in robotics startups. So this guy's
really
he
wants to be a gatekeeper.
He sees the future. He's doing it. He goes from big money, big capital that funded robotic startups, and then just started his own robotic startup.
It's down, yeah.
It's almost like he knows something that the rest of us don't, except for you and us. Time and again, companies he backed would struggle to sign up customers because the risks and complexity of automating their processes were too high. The pain point led, Fareed said, to the birth of Formic, which has taken a robot-as-a-service approach. It maps a company's operations, figures out the tasks that are best suited to automation, and then installs a robot that is paid an hourly wage.
Oh, wow.
The hourly wage, Gonz! The robots are starting with an hourly wage. If it fails to perform, Formic doesn't get paid, Fareed said.
Sounds like a good deal.
It sounds a little familiar, sounds a little bit like how human beings get paid. Yeah. Quote, the tech for very productive robots has existed now for 10 years, but adoption is extremely low because there is so much risk and complexity. And so the typical response of the factory owner has just been, I can't do this. The problem is not unique in America. The CBI's Employment Trends Survey last summer found that 3/4 of businesses struggled to fill vacant roles. Perhaps that robot is really coming for your job after all.
Wow.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. Well, at least they're coming around.
That's the thing.
For a few years.
That's been the big problem is, it may cost what, $20,000, $30,000, $100,000 to put a FLIPPY in a restaurant. Well, what's going to happen when the risk is that, there's the risk reward ratio. A company can take the risk, pay $100,000 and get a robot. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them aren't doing it. Because it's expensive and it's a lot of risk. But take away that risk, and it's simply getting a robot in there to test it out for an hourly wage, then that is capitalistic market forces taking over the robot, the robot employment issue. It was truly just the risk that was holding back the mass adoption of robots. Not everybody has $100,000 to spend on a robot that may or may not work, but you take away that risk, and then you have a lot of 14,000 factory owners worth 760,000 jobs that they can start just trading out. As soon as it's figured out and as soon as the risk is low enough, trading out those robots for people is an easy choice. And even in the words of the Sunday Times, perhaps that robot really is coming for your job after all. This is moving faster than I ever expected. And one thing I think is interesting, Gonz, paying them by hour, having a robot employment agency. He's really treating these robots as if they were people, putting them into a people sort of centric economic model, which is go to the employment agency, get a hourly paying job. That's how humans do it. And as we've seen how not just the personification of robots, making them more human, but treating them more human, the social engineering getting us to think of robots as people or at least entities worth respect, it is one small step away that has now this Fareed fella treating robots like people in an economic sense. I find it interesting that one did have to go before the other. And this is sort of the gate. Oh, this is a very smart fella. I got to give him credit. But manufacturing in the U.S., which, of course, is Biden's not new, but it's his whole thing.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be a booming industry for American robots and not quite American people.
Should we be looking at something like the U.S. Department of Labor and the union sector because at a certain point, doesn't this set up a kind of a robotic union of sorts?
We actually, in the Red Book, a year or two ago, we talked about robot unions. So it's, it's not that far.
This is opening the doors for that kind of treatment when it comes to...
especially with the parallel phenomenon we have of the ubiquity of chatbots and personhood
we'll
with
get to
chatbots.
There's a lot going down in that front for sure.
Yep. So there you go. That's how America is going to be number one again, folks. We'll be number one in manufacturing.
Joe releases the robots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and people thought the grand theory wasn't lining up, and here we go. Once again, somehow. We've gotten our hands on the joystick of the simulation, Gonz. I don't know how this keeps happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs. Hairy. Got hairy legs. Hairy.
Go fight for Ukraine. New world order.
CNN politics. Biden makes surprise visit to Ukraine for first time since full-scale war began.
Surprise! You think they had balloons? Like he opened up the door to the jet and balloons came out?
That would be hilarious. But no, I don't think Joe.
Might not be too far from the truth, actually. You'll see in a story here soon.
President Joe Biden slipped into Kyiv on Monday for the first time since Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine almost a year ago, demonstrating in dramatic, personal fashion his commitment to the country and its struggle as the war enters an uncertain new phase.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, it does feel like we're turning the page a little bit on the war. There's some different aspects coming into play, but this is sort of the marketing side of all that tax money going there.
Yeah, the fact that they felt so, we've heard stories of Kiev being shelled and missile attacks and daily explosions in the city from long-range Russian missiles. Well, apparently Putin got the memo and just didn't shoot any missiles that day. That's sort of what's to be believed.
The highly secretive visit, which took place as air raid sirens could be heard ringing out around Kyiv while Biden walked alongside President Volodymyr Zelensky around the gold-domed St. Michael's Cathedral, comes at a critical moment in the 12-month conflict, with Russia preparing for an unexpected spring offensive and Ukraine hoping to soon retake territory. Which means they lost territory. Does it not?
Yeah. Well, it's the eastern, the eastern Russia.
Biden announced a $500 million in new assistance, saying the package would include more military equipment, such as artillery ammunition, more javelins, and howitzers. And he said new sanctions would be imposed on Moscow later this week. Oh, good, because it's worked so well so far. Let's just keep doing that. Quote, 1 year later, Kyiv stands and Ukraine stands. Democracy stands, Biden said. A lot of repetition with these politicians recently.
It's glitching.
Yeah, they're all glitching. I'm going to skip down a little bit here. U.S. officials have privately voiced hope that massive influx of weaponry to Ukraine, which includes new vehicles, longer-range missiles, and Patriot air defense systems, can help Ukraine prevail on the battlefield and put Zelensky in a stronger position to negotiate an end of the war, or end to the war. Yeah, give him a lot of weapons, better negotiation. But it remains unclear what parameters Zelensky might be willing to accept in any peace negotiations, and the U.S. has steadfastly refused to define what a settlement may look like beyond stating it will be up to Zelensky to decide. It's all on Z. And I like this part right here.
That's interesting, considering he was thinking about going to the peace talks last year.
Yeah, before any of this happened.
Boris Johnson made a visit and explicitly told him not to do that.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Or else the funding would stop.
Yeah. The high-stakes visit. Biden's visit made for a highly symbolic moment. CNN talking about symbolism. Coming a day ahead of a planned speech by Russian President Vladimir Putin marking the anniversary of the war. Speaking from Kiev, Biden declared Putin's, quote, war of conquest is failing. Putin thought Ukraine was weak and the West was divided, Biden said, standing alongside Zelensky. He thought he could outlast us. I don't think he's thinking that right now. He's just been playing wrong. 1 year later, the evidence is right here in this room where we stand here together. Quote, I thought it was critical that there not be any doubt, none whatsoever, about U.S. support for Ukraine in the war, Biden said. Which is kind of like, hey, the billions of dollars and all the weaponry is not enough. I guess there's doubt, but you showing up in Ukraine doesn't. How many people are seeing that and going, oh, okay, good. Our president's behind Ukraine.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of the thing, is it's all very symbolic.
And listen to this.
They do. Yep.
Biden emphasized there was a broad bipartisan support in Washington for the Ukrainian cause. Quote, for all the disagreement we have in our Congress on some issues, there is significant agreement on support for Ukraine, he said. It's not just about freedom in Ukraine. It's about freedom of democracy at large. Which, okay, first of all, is that true that there's significant agreement for Ukraine? Do we have that many war hawks? Republican
I would say significant is accurate, but it's certainly not as assumed as it was before.
He's contradicting himself. He says it's not about freedom of Ukraine, it's about freedom of democracy at large, but he's said before,
this is not about freedom for personal choice.
So, a little contradiction. White House officials would not go into detail about the logistics of the president's trip, saying that more details would come once they, quote, got the green light from the security folks. Ooh. So, and then a little bit about the secretive trip. Biden's trip to Kiev was shrouded in secrecy, a reflection of the steep security concerns. Air Force One departed Joint Base Andrews under cover of darkness at 4:15 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, and reporters aboard the plane were not allowed to carry their devices with them. Biden's public schedule didn't reflect the trip. The White House officials repeatedly said last week that a visit to Ukraine was not in the works. And this is the one last point from this article. Biden only decided on Friday to go ahead with the visit after huddling with top members of his national security team in the Oval Office and smelling their lovely coats. A few hours before he departed, the United States informed Russia of the plans to visit the Ukrainian capital for, quote, deconfliction purposes, according to Sullivan.
Yeah, so that part I thought was fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, so they fly him in to a city that has admittedly, been under constant fire for a year now, and suddenly the missiles and everything stops. Yeah, they probably told Putin that this was going to happen, and Putin is like, okay, I'll stop for a second. I mean, it's not necessarily in Putin's best interest to kill the president of the United States.
Why not? I thought he was a Hitler. I thought he was a tyrant.
Not necessarily.
Come on, let's get this war going.
Well, I mean, I think that's the interesting part of it is like, they consistently are making him out to be an insane person with how he blew up his own Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Why? It doesn't make any sense. Well, he's crazy. That's why. We're constantly told that he's crazy and makes decisions not based on his own self-interest. And then, could he have fired a missile while Biden was in Kyiv and sent a very strong message, even if he didn't hit Biden? Yeah, he could have. But he apparently isn't that crazy. We got to draw a line.
Or maybe the military, or maybe the military-industrial complex, through Biden, sent the message that, hey, our UFOs are going to be in the air, so even if you tried, we will shoot it down. And the aliens will continue to paint you. Will continue to kill your officials or something. I don't know.
That's certainly one possibility.
Deconfliction purposes, flex the advanced technology. That's one way to do it. But anyway, that's in the geopolitical context. Real briefly here, I have this Axios article. Zelensky urges Israel to send David's sling to use against Goliath.
Ooh.
So it's interesting how Putin is sort of putting this Christian orthodoxy persona for the Russian people in the war, in this particular war, as sort of their, ethical or moral foundation. But then Axios in the West here makes Russia out to be a Goliath. I think there's an interesting kind of reverse contrast there.
Yeah. No, you're right. That is interesting. Again, repeatedly, even over this weekend, just repeated stories about how Russia's not that powerful and how they keep getting their butt whipped and how Russia just is so lame and they keep losing. But then at the same time, we're calling Russia Goliath.
Right. We're calling him Goliath. And we're asking Israel to let them use, or not we, but Zelensky is asking Israel to use their David's sling. So here's a little bit about this. The big picture. The David's sling is an Israeli-made air defense system that Ukraine has asked Israel for several times. Despite pressure, Israel has so far rejected most U.S. and Ukrainian requests. U.S. and Ukrainian to provide advanced and defensive weapons to Kyiv over concerns that such a move could create tension with Russia and harm Israeli security interests in Syria. Starting to get a little iffy, a little hairy. All the alliances are starting to kind of break apart over these issues.
Yeah, it's so interesting how they sort of just glaze over Syria in this case. Yeah. We've covered this for quite some time. The updates on the Israel-Russia relationship, and Israel, for the most part, actually has a pretty advantageous deal with Russia right now in regards to the Syria issue. And the U.S. also, is involved in the Syria, the sort of quiet, secret Syrian war that just continues to rage for the sake of economics and oil. But they don't want to, they got a good thing going there. They don't want to make anybody squirrely.
So here's what's interesting too. Just before Biden showed up, Zelensky met with Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen in Kyiv on Thursday. It was the first visit by an Israeli official to Kyiv since the Russian invasion began. So all these officials are suddenly showing up in Ukraine. That's just interesting. During the visit, Cohen said Israel will continue to help Ukraine in developing an early warning system that alerts civilians about incoming attacks. Which isn't that the technology? Isn't that the sling? I mean, it's interesting how they're like, we'll help you build it, but we'll develop it, but we will not just hand you the technology.
Yeah, it's all this subtle statecraft.
Right. And then a quote from Zelensky, quote, "We need to hurry up. We need speed of our agreements, speed of our delivery, speed of decisions to limit Russian potential. There is no alternative to speed because it is the speed that life depends on," Zelensky speaking via video link told conference.
Rush. This guy's always rushing everybody, man.
Sounds like he's speed,
Ukrainian. He's not Russian, but he is Russian everybody else.
Quote, "Delay has always been and still is a mistake," he added. "There is no alternative to Ukrainian victory, no alternative to Ukraine in the EU, no alternative to Ukraine in NATO." He sounds like a villain. Just the way he talks in like this prose.
It's a con man thing. This rushing the sale.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's also a sales thing, but it's also a con man thing.
Right.
Which is,
try to close the deal.
No, don't think about it. Don't think about it now. You have to do it now.
Speed.
The deal's not going to be there if you wait. Look, I'm just making this deal once. You do it now, you're going to miss out. That's true. It's one of those things that he needs it now, and he needs He needs them to not think about it too much.
Yeah, interesting. So anyway, yeah,
it's good news that that they're getting some. Oh, you had some other stuff in here. I think the David Sling is relevant to the balloon conversation. I think there's I'm gonna, if you don't mind, jump that up real quick.
That's fine. Yeah,
because
yes,
yeah, he needs David Sling. Zelensky is asking for this air defense program, and you're thinking, okay, sure, why not? I guess. Well, UPI.com is reporting Russia using decoy surveillance balloons as Ukraine war tactic. Of course, this is from the British intelligence warning them. So Russian troops may be using decoy surveillance balloons as a war tactic in Ukraine, the British Defense Ministry warned Sunday. Kind of a weird warning to give. Okay, who cares? British military intelligence officials said in a statement that Ukrainian troops spotted several balloons with radar reflectors suspended beneath them, flying over Kyiv on Wednesday. What day was Biden?
Friday. Or
Friday.
He's Sunday. I'm sorry. Sunday.
Okay.
Israeli guy was there on Thursday, though. So, ahead of the Israeli guy.
So exactly. So the timing, this timing is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So they're flying balloons with radar reflectors, which is basically just big chunks of metal that are easy to see on radar.
Right.
And why would you do that? Well, if you have Ukrainian radar picking up lots of air traffic, lots of, threats coming from the sky, threat over threat after threat after threat of all these balloons, look how easily they can reach us from the sky. And they're not actually a threat. They're just literally there. Their literal only purpose is to show up on radar. And if you have your Israeli guy coming the next day and you're trying to get him to give you air defense technology, what do you want to show him? Well, you want to show him that you have lots of threats in the sky. You can point down, look at the radar, look at this, look at all these radar pings of threats in the sky, all these balloons.
It just
I don't
worked.
really believe for a moment that these were actually Russian balloons. I think these could have been Ukrainian balloons.
Zelensky putting out the balloons. So, of course. They just saw how it worked in America with the Chinese spy balloon. They literally just rolled out the exact same script in Ukraine.
Exactly. And here's the quote from the British Defense Ministry. It is likely that the balloons were Russian. Oh, you mean like the missile that flew over into Poland that you said was Russian but wasn't? Oh, it's just like they're using the same thing over and over and over. Here's the quote. They likely represent a new tactic by Russia to gain information about Ukrainian air defense systems and compel the Ukrainians to expend valuable stocks of surface-to-air missiles and ammunition. Maybe, possibly, however, the timing of these mysterious radar balloons comes right before trying to convince Israel to give air defense stuff. It's so transparent.
I don't know. It's hilarious to me. I don't know. It's probably not funny for everybody, but it's pretty hilarious when you see it's like, wow, they are not creative, and anyone paying attention has to notice the timing issue and everything.
The non-committal of these quotes. There's another quote. There is a realistic possibility that this was a Russian balloon that had drifted from Ukrainian airspace, the British Defense Ministry said. They're not even saying it. They're not even pretending to be sure about it. They're just saying it's possible.
I think Chris Shillzilla has a career in the British Defense Ministry. Just the plausible deniability comments. He's really good at those.
That's a good
non-committal
point,
quotes. It might be good for this kind
Chris.
of thing. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
What else you got on Ukraine?
Let's see. Oh, we had this. Oh yes, there's a little Antarctica tangent here. So let's just a quick one. There's more Antarctica to come at the end of the show, but for this article here, this is from the Associated Press. Actually, I think it was mirrored, or did I get the Wall Street Journal? Okay. Ukraine's troops came from Antarctica and Ballet, and it still needs more fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we
talked about the Ukrainians in Antarctica, of course, as we continue to use Antarctica as our touch point for sort of elite testing and messaging and plan broadcasting. We had heard about the hero Ukrainians in Antarctica. Well, they're on the list of scientists. Antarctic scientists are making their way back from Antarctica to fight in the war among ballet dancers. And,
yes. Yeah, this is
the guy who voiced Captain America in the Marvel versions in Ukrainian. Yeah.
Very important fella, that guy. That guy, the voice of a generation in Ukraine there. Andrei Zotov, the polar scientist, traveled 11,000 miles from his Antarctic base by yacht, plane, and car, full trifecta, to enlist, later becoming a captain, despite being 49 years old and having a military exemption. At least 6 people from Ukraine's National Antarctic Scientific Center are working with the military, creating what members jokingly call the Penguin Battalion. Quote, we went to the front lines not because we wanted to fight. We went because we had no choice, Mr. Zotov said from hospital after being shot outside of Bakhmut.
I wonder if he means that literally.
What do you mean?
Like we had no choice. They literally told us that they would leave us to freeze if we didn't come and fight in the
turn
war.
Off the heater. The scientists felt called to fight. They felt called, Basil, even though
they literally got a phone call and was left no choice.
There's a man behind you with a gun. The scientists felt called to fight as Russia built up its forces on Ukraine's border in 2021. Quote, we will disappear as a nation if we do not fight, he recalls thinking while he was still on the polar ice fields. While the U.S. and other Western nations have relied on a professional military in recent conflicts and been able to spend time training new recruits, Ukraine's military, by necessity, has become one of the volunteers. The country started this war with 196,000 members in its armed forces and 900,000 reservists, according to the International Institute for Strategic Studies. Russia had a 900,000 strong force and 2 million in reserve. In July, the Ukrainian ranks had swelled with 700,000 new fighters, some conscripted, others volunteers inspired to defend their nation. And it goes on and on here. But yeah, it's just kind of painting the mythology of some of these. And it's just interesting to bring in Antarctica as part of the heroism and the mythology being built for that. So, yeah, just connecting some dots for everybody.
Yeah.
But nothing that's not unfamiliar to people that listen to the show and all that kind of stuff.
Well, while Ukrainians military continues to be praised as an effective volunteer force, the U.S. military is having some interesting experiences in characterizing their own members, specifically in this regard to January 6th rioters.
A lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay?
Unindicted co-conspirators.
Build back better, blah, blah, blah.
Build back better. We will build Babylon better. This time,
a new world order.
There was a Jan 6 jingle that eludes me at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about
that. Just play it whenever it comes up. So we're going to go through a couple of different things here, and it's sort of culminating in an interesting opportunity for some news literacy practice. So we'll start out at yahoo.com. It's mirroring USA Today. The headline, a Marine was arrested for the January 6th riot, but first he was given a job in NSA intelligence.
Does that surprise anybody?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Now it goes like this. 2 neo-Nazis were arrested for threatening to attack electrical substations to destroy Baltimore. A, quote, Boogaloo boy was arrested in Missouri for having a bunch of guns.
Okay.
Is that illegal to have a bunch of guns?
Apparently, according to America.
And a Marine was promoted to a top intelligence job after being at the Jan 6th insurrection. He has since been arrested. Plus, the FBI's hate crime statistics are worse than useless. Those are in quotes. Thanks. Yet a congressional committee chairman claims the Bureau inflates the issue of domestic extremism. You don't say. It's the weak in extremism. Now, they go through... This is kind of a collection of stories here. Yeah. One of them here is hate-fueled attacks planned on power stations.
Convenient.
Yeah, we've been following. I mean, attacks on power stations have been going on for, 2 years now? At least 1 year, but I think about 2 years. And they give kind of some brief rundowns of these things. The first one, of course, is a well-known neo-Nazi and his suspected accomplice were arrested last week and appeared in court Monday charged with plotting to attack power substations in Baltimore. We scrolled down, and it talks about the Boogaloo boy who was arrested. Federal law enforcement officers arrested a Springfield, Missouri man in possession of 11 guns, a silencer, and more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition, body armor plates, and several pounds of explosives. Okay, well, everything in that list is not illegal except for the explosives. I guess the explosives really tipped the bucket on that one. As far as I can tell, the explosives really are the only illegal thing. I mean, 11 guns, lots of people have 11 guns.
The rest of the stuff is just great flavor for the mainstream.
The thing that would trigger people who don't know is the silencer. First of all,
he's a murderer.
It's called a suppressor, all right? You don't call it a silencer.
That's what the movies call it.
Which you can get. They're legal. It takes about 1.5 years to go through the background check, but you can get them. And 1,000 rounds of ammunition is like, okay, you took one trip to Shields. Congratulations. But yeah, the explosives, that'll do it. All right, then the next one goes into this January 6th rioter got intelligence role. A couple of weeks ago, I wrote about the arrests of 3 active duty Marines for their alleged roles in the January 6th insurrection. This week, The Intercept had a bombshell report that one of those Marines was transferred to, quote, a highly sensitive intelligence assignment at the headquarters of the National Security Agency after the insurrection, which is pretty incredible.
Did they know? They had to have known, right? I mean, these people are smart.
You would think he is moving to the NSA, the National Security Agency that has access to all of your phone records, all of your messages, all of your everything is stored at the National Security Agency. And they didn't think to check the guy's files. I mean, his Parler account. I mean, if the dude was on Parler, it says he was there.
Yeah, they liked him. They liked his presence at Jan 6.
I think that's the long and short of it here, is keeping your enemies closer, or maybe trying to lure him into committing some sort of bigger crime. Getting the job, doing some espionage or something. The Marine confessed to his role in the insurrection last summer, but was arrested only in January. Must not have been that big of a role then, if they just let him wander.
They only arrest him when maybe certain things become inconvenient for him to do.
Exactly.
Interesting.
That's what the NSA is for. The Intercept reports, quote, Sergeant Joshua Abate, a special communication signal analyst, was assigned to the Marine Cryptologic Support Battalion, which acts as the liaison between the Marines and the NSA at Fort Meade. The transfer into the liaison unit after the Capitol riot placed Abate inside one of the most sensitive facilities in the entire U.S. government. Yeah,
let us show you under the hood.
It's hilarious. He tap danced, waltzed his way into the Capitol building, and so they go ahead and open up the doors to the most secretive facility in the government, the NSA building. Context. As I reported back in 2021, the U.S. military has a significant problem with extremism in its ranks. And that is the end of it.
That's so interesting. So they want people to think that the reason why our intelligence apparatus is not functioning properly is because they let extremists in. not that they created the extremists or abated.
Exactly. You put this whole thing into context. That was kind of the kicker at the end for me, is it's like the very last part of the article is a bullet point that says context. You're like, okay, give me the context. And the context is, as I reported back in 2021, the U.S. military has a significant problem with extremism in its ranks. Well, what was being reported back in 2021 was Trump supporters are in the military. Oh, no. But in this case, you have someone who attended the January 6th event, doesn't say exactly what his role was.
Yeah.
I mean, you had people from, grandmas and grandpas sitting in their wheelchair out on the lawn to, zip tie guy or QAnon shaman.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I know you were calling him Abate, Abate, the guy's name, Sergeant Joshua Abate.
Yeah, I just guessed and went
the word. That maybe that's how you pronounce it, but it's spelled abate, and abate means to decrease in force or intensity, to become defeated or become null and void.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's kind of an interesting name. I mean, if they were going to have a cover name for this intelligence agent here, that was, I don't know, went public or something. I mean, that's a name that would have a message, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, basically what they did was they just summarized the Intercept article. Did you spend much time on the Intercept article?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I skimmed it a little bit. It's dense as all Intercept articles. So, but yes, for the most part, it covered the same points and, of course, more detail. And we have the links to all that.
So here's one part of the actual Intercept. Where is it? Following his, I don't want to have to read the whole thing here. What was it? A Marine charged with taking part in the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol was transferred to a highly sensitive intelligence assignment at the headquarters of the National Security Agency after the violent attempt to overturn the 2020 election results. Marine Corps officials have acknowledged the Marine confessed to his role in the Capitol riot last summer during a security clearance interview, but was not charged until last month. So he was getting a security clearance interview and talked about being at the Capitol. Now, I'm assuming that this security clearance interview was for getting the job at the NSA. So, of course, he can't lie to it. They already know that he was there. But they didn't charge him until last month, following his alleged participation in the 2021 insurrection. Intercept. What are you doing? Sergeant Joshua Abate, a special communication signal analyst, was assigned to the Marine Cryptological Support Battalion. Yes, we know this. The transfer into the liaison unit after the Capitol riot placed Abate inside one of the most sensitive facilities in the entire U.S. government. 2 other Marines charged with entering the Capitol alongside Abate. So apparently they're just getting charged with entering. On January 6th, were also given sensitive new intelligence assignments within the Marine Corps after the insurrection, according to statements from the Corps. So they just took all 3 of these guys and put them in intelligence after this. Kind of funky, huh? Considering the context of January 6th was a lot of allegedness about intelligence agencies being involved, being there. What's that guy's name? Ray Epps. Perhaps playing a intelligence role in pushing things over the line. I don't know. This is what online people are talking about. Crazy conspiracy theorists. I don't have any of the details. But it turns out a bunch of the people who participated happened to get a bunch of great jobs in intelligence right afterwards. It's pretty cool and a little bit of a whoopsies, huh? It's just a coincidence.
Yeah. Well, they have the picture of the 3 guys here: Micah Coomer, Joshua Abate, and Dodge Dale Helenon.
Ooh, that's a cool.
I was going to say that. Helenon, yeah.
Like QAnon.
Hellonen. Helenon. Dodge Dale Helenon. That doesn't sound like a real name, but it's all fun and games. It's all just a big show. So
very fun. Very fun.
Okay, so do you have anything else in this article that you want to?
I was going to move towards the debunker bunker, but there's a couple more links here if you wanted to connect those.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so we have the this was sort of supposed to be the as part of the resources for the fake story that we'll touch on in a second here. But back on the 6th of February, Reuters reported FBI charges neo-Nazi leader in plot to attack Baltimore power grid. It's the same story, interestingly enough. And then FBI warns of neo-Nazi plot as attacks on Northwest power grid spike. So it's just interesting how a lot of these outlets are making, they're just making the statement that neo-Nazis are attacking our infrastructure. It's a very psyop-y thing to do. You know, if you want to have some insiders pulling off some infrastructure damage, because look, Joe's got to do his thing. The infrastructure is old, but it's not crumbling fast enough. So we need some assistance with the tear down.
There's a lot wrapped up in there. You're right. There's policy, which we always want to point out the policy advantages of mainstream narratives. So when it comes to power grid stuff, lots of policy surrounding that.
Yeah.
There's also this very interesting narrative of a strange connection, collusion, and suspicious activity, both for and against, or maybe not for and against, in cooperation or adversarial between the military and intelligence agencies. And this, of course, is something that was reflected in a lot of the QAnon craziness. Now, of course, QAnon being its own intelligence operation psyop, but a big part of that was, military and intelligence agencies.
The white hats fighting down
against each other.
Yeah.
FBI bad or good.
Well,
or
there's
CIA
good guys
bad.
trying to take out the bad guys. There's a civil war in the intelligence apparatus.
And then there's the military, and they're also against intelligence, but also they work with, it's this whole complicated narrative.
74 degree chess or whatever.
Not sure. Right. And so you have in this sort of interesting, almost war of narratives, the Intercept article about all those Marines making it into some of the highest, most sensitive levels of intelligence. Here's just one quote from the Intercept again. The reassignments, meaning the Marines who got moved and promoted and stuff into intelligence, the reassignments raise serious new questions about the ability of both the military and the U.S. intelligence community to identify right-wing extremism in their midst.
Interesting. They're kind of flipping it on its head almost. It's like
right. So we were always and still are, but vehemently skeptical of QAnon. That was always, we got kicked off of YouTube for saying the QAnon wasn't real.
Cue the miserable, cue the desperate. What must I do to convince you people? You're right, Q.
Right. And so in a way, you have the Intercept using different words to describe a similar thing. QAnon would call it, white hat, black hat, where you have good guys in the organizations and they're infiltrating each other and stuff like that. The Intercept, of course, replaces white hat with right-wing extremism or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're talking about infiltration of one another, infiltration of the military and the U.S. intelligence community with, in this case, right-wing extremists. Since the Capitol riot, the Pentagon has claimed that it had been trying to root out extremists, but there have been few signs that the problem has yet been reduced, or even that the scale of threat has been adequately measured. So they don't even know how many, wild cards they have in their midst. Okay, so keep that in mind. A very good article, of course. Everybody should know If you join our newsletter, you get all of our sources sent straight to your email box, which is a good place to go dig deeper into some of these things. So you have The Intercept basically reiterating in their own official words something that Q had been blabbering about for quite some time. And then you have Reuters talking about, pulling it up, FBI charges neo-Nazi leader in plot to attack Baltimore power grid. So you've got more extremists attacking power grids. You've got more neo-Nazi plots to attack the Northwest power grid. Power grid, a big theme. But there was this screenshot going around, Gonz, and you and I saw it on Twitter. And this is an opportunity we always want to take for some good quality education in media literacy. This screenshot, do you have the screenshot up?
I don't have the screenshot, but I do have the actual article.
Yeah, the actual article. Okay. So a screenshot of an article was going around and getting a lot of attention from an outlet called Real Raw News, which looks low quality, but it is formatted like a news outlet. It looks like a news outlet. If you look up on the tab, are you able to show people tabs?
Yes.
The tab, this is just step one for media literacy, folks. Look at the tab, and it has a logo with a W on it. That's the WordPress logo. That little icon is called a favicon, and it's just a tiny little logo to help you identify your tabs. The fact that it has the WordPress logo on it, on the favicon, means that this is a WordPress website, and whoever runs this website didn't know enough about website making to change their favicon. Now, in their defense, we have not changed our favicon on our website. We have our
CanaryCryRadio.com is in shambles, and it is a WordPress website. Although I think we do have a proper favicon.
Canary Cry News Talk does not have the correct favicon on it.
It doesn't?
I do not. No, we have the Squarespace logo. So what I'm saying is, we know this mistake because we are currently making this mistake. And it says, here's the headline: Marines catch FBI trying to sabotage substation in Idaho and kill them.
Wow.
So we have reports from Reuters and OPB about FBI catching Nazis trying to take down the power. Take down the power grid. You have Intercept talking about Marines getting upgraded into intelligence. And now on this outlet you have Marines
catching FBI.
Catching FBI.
It's like a love triangle.
It's a whole mess. It is a whole mess. And keep in mind, chaos is the point. Now, Gonz, you want to take us through the about page of this website, just so everybody knows. RealRawNews.com.
Yeah, and
here's
by the way,
their about page.
So they have this big long story, and we'll get to a couple points in there in a second. But if you go to the about page at the top, it says About Us. It says, how Real Raw News is trying to bring light to topics often ignored by others. Sounds like us. Real Raw News is owned and operated by Michael Baxter, a former mainstream journalist and former English teacher. He's got his little contact address there. There's a disclaimer in the About Us section, and it says this: information on this website is for informational and educational and entertainment purposes. This website contains humor, parody, and satire, and that is in bold in this little disclaimer. We have included this disclaimer for our protection on the advice on legal counsel. So basically they're saying we may not report factual things. And there's no legal ramifications for that because we put this disclaimer in here.
They literally put in their website, we're not going to tell you the truth, okay? That's not what we do. We entertain and we're satire. And
more confident than Shillzilla, though, about the education.
We're only saying this because our lawyers told us to say.
Right.
Let me tell you. Now, just some examples of other articles that are here on the side. You have things like Jerome Adams hanged at Gitmo, and Putin decimates another adrenochrome warehouse in Ukraine.
Whoa! I wonder who these articles are for. Sounds like there's a particular crowd that really gobbles the stuff up. Exactly.
So this is an outlet specifically aimed at QAnon folks, QAnon types.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't believe in QAnon, but they are the type of people who want to read about Jerome Adams being hanged at Gitmo, or Putin decimating an adrenochrome warehouse, or military arrests vaccine scientists, charges of something, I don't know, ... So that's the type of stuff they have on Real Raw News. Now, here's the confusing part. I'm going to read you a paragraph, and out there, everybody at home, see if you can spot the suspicious part of this paragraph.
Spot the sus.
Yeah, spot the sus. That's right. An hour into the game, so they talk about during the Super Bowl that this operation was going down.
Yeah, this operation went down during the big game, which makes perfect sense.
During the big game,
everyone's distracted.
There's an operation where Marines were going to go protect a power station, and the FBI was going to go blow it up. That's the whole storyline they're doing here. An hour into the game, the Eagles were beating Kansas City, but the Marines in Idaho saw no signs of FBI saboteurs. At halftime, as a demonic Rihanna dressed in a crimson bodysuit with the pentagram belt took the stage, an SUV sporting Trump 2024 bumper stickers stopped beside the gate of the Columbia substation in Meridian. 4 men. Okay, so during the halftime show, you've got demonic Rihanna, you've got an SUV pulling up with Trump 2024. 4 men, none of whom looks like feds, exited the truck and approached the lock gate.
Hold on. If you were the Fed and you're not very good at writing, wouldn't you say that? They didn't look like feds.
They didn't look like
feds. Well, there's no there's no basis to. Okay, all right. I guess you can just generally say people that look like feds. Oh, okay, got it. Sorry.
Yeah, there's more.
Okay.
All wore MAGA regalia, hats and jackets endorsing Trump's 2024 presidential bid, and 1 carried bolt cutters.
Oh boy.
2 had AR-15 style rifles slung across their shoulders.
No, wait a minute. That
AR-15 style rifles.
Yeah, that's a phrase only used in the mainstream.
Exactly. That is a mainstream corporate news media phrase. Now, if this was written by let's just call them, I don't know, what should we call them? What conspiracy theorist, an independent QAnon reporter or something, the type of person you expect to be writing admittedly false stories about the Marines killing the FBI, Putin decimating an adrenochrome warehouse, Jerome Adams being hanged at Gitmo. All these things you envision a QAnon person writing.
Yeah.
But if there is one thing that a QAnon person would not write, it is the phrase AR-15 style rifle.
Unless they're being satirical, Basil.
What you have here is an outlet posing to get the attention of everybody who wants to hear about adrenochrome and Gitmo and vaccine scientists getting arrested, all the stuff that you want to, grab the attention of the sort of wild cards, the internet wild cards, let's call them. If you were that type of person writing these type of stories, you might say a lot of these things. In fact, you would talk about demonic Rihanna.
Yeah.
You would talk about
perfect bait,
pentagram belts stuff. Yeah. You would talk about all this stuff. No way on earth would you use the phrase naturally AR-15 style rifle.
Unless all they had to do was put parentheses around it, and it would have made anybody informed would have understood the reference of, oh, this is a kind of a jab at the mainstream who call it AR-15 style rifles all the time. No such grammatical
I think so. The long and short of this is, I believe this entire outlet is a PSYOP outlet, of course. It's being run by establishment people posing as anti-establishment people. And they slipped up a little bit. They said AR-15 style rifle, which gives away the PSYOP of it. They are mainstream or intelligence or something, creating this outlet to either guide certain, radical narratives or muddy the waters, create chaos, this kind of stuff.
Yeah, because it's been a while since I've seen like a Q style narrative being pushed out there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe my algos are different on my social medias, but this was the first one I saw in a while where there was like something off, and I looked into it, and I was like, I don't know about, because I had another friend message me this exact thing, that exact screenshot, and was like, oh, if this is true, and I was like, oh, let's take a look, and it didn't take long before I was like, I don't know about this, guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It is so blatantly a PSYOP controlled by the intelligence community. Well, let me say, it's not blatantly.
Not necessarily blatant. Yeah,
it's not necessarily blatantly. In fact, I take that back. It is very subtle. You need to find this very subtle clue that not only, is this not true, which anybody could assume for all sorts of reasons, including the fact that the website says that they don't tell the truth on their about page. But the fact that they would use a term, it's a shibboleth. AR-15 style rifle is a shibboleth that they are part of the establishment, and they're using this to create, to maybe not create, but to maintain the health of a certain online community that they have found very useful in, I don't know, busting people, justifying continued increase in the taxpayer funding, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
It says here, but we mentioned earlier, the Michael Baxter, the guy who wrote this article and is behind Real Raw News, is a former mainstream journalist. So
of course,
perhaps, given the benefit of the doubt, maybe he had an autocorrect on his word processor and it just, he wrote AR-15, but the computer was like AR-15 style rifle, because that's what you always said when you wrote in mainstream journals.
Remember, 2020, 2021, we documented the almost systematic migration of mainstream journalists leaving corporate news and infiltrating independent media. This is an example of that. It was a very specific sort of migration of current and formerly corporately professional journalists moving into the independent space, because that's where everybody was going, and poisoning the waters. We've been following this for at least 2 years, and this is a great example.
It's a clear example of one of our debunker bunkers.
Get to the bunker!
The debunker bunker.
I don't know if we have time for this last one here. I mean, it's kind of in relationship with all this, but we'll just mention it. It's from CNBC. The headline is "Why America's Outdated Energy Grid is a Climate Problem." And it talks about how the electrical grid was built in the 60s and 70s, and it's old, and it needs to be redone, and it's perfect timing for Joe's whole,
infrastructure bill
thing.
Just in time, all the neo-Nazis are blowing up
start blowing
substations.
Stuff up. It's a great time. They mentioned here that the Department of Energy said that all these sort of older infrastructure creates vulnerabilities in an announcement of an initiative included in President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law to catalyze investment in the nation's grid. So I think we've been seeing a lot of this, this is part of the reset. This is the Build Back Better thing. And I think the AI aspect of this that we'll talk about in the next block is basically the through line. All the infrastructure will be redone and it's going to have AI implemented, and I think it's a big part of it. So anyway, no surprises with this. It's just the timing of everything is what is suspicious, I think, and I think anyone paying attention would notice all that. So, and
as always, keep an eye out for policy, and keep an eye out for the public-private partnership for whatever corporation is going to get the contract to redo the entire electrical infrastructure. Coincidentally, what other country is currently having the contracts drawn up to redo the entire electrical infrastructure? It's the Ukraine. And who's doing it? I believe it's BlackRock.
BlackRock is involved. Yep.
Is the
reconstruction,
the capital involved. So this is, it's almost the exact same playbook, just under different context of destroying infrastructure and creating the public sort of justification to get a company to come in and harness not only ownership of the entire country's infrastructure, but also the $1 trillion it would take to replace it all.
I mean, it's unreal. And, well, I think Elon Musk is going to play a big role in this as well. His gigafactories, Biden announced the whole car thing where they're going to use Teslas to charge, for the electric vehicles. So I think he's got a role to play in here. And also, blaming climate change, very convenient. And if you're put your tinfoil hat on, maybe some of those folks are abusing their geoengineering technology and things go out of whack. And of course, you can stay immune by just blaming climate change to get what you want out of all the policy changes. So it'll be a party. It's going to be great. Aren't you excited?
It's a good time.
Yeah. Go to canarycry.party, put it in your URL. There you will find a tree of links that leads to everything from where to watch the show, listen to the show, how to produce the show, how to connect with us and the community.
Welcome to Canary Cry Party. It's the place you wanna be. So stay. Welcome to Canary Cry. Gameplay canarycry.party.
That's right. Go check it out. All sorts of great resources there. I will say, let me plug canarycry.report is a great resource that you can find at canarycry.party. Canarycry.report is where you should submit your articles to have on the show. If you have articles and stories you'd like us to cover or at least take a look at, go to canarycry.report and fill out that form. That's the best way to get our attention on a story you want us to cover, because just sending it to the email or something, it gets lost and it's a whole mess.
But if you keep it all organized,
if you go through canarycry.report, significantly higher chance that we can actually get our eyes on the story. So go check that out. But you can also learn how to produce the show. That is one way of doing it. You can find the rest over there at canarycry.party. Let's thank some producers.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Should we address the breaking news?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about it too. You just reminded me.
Just wanted to do it in a place where we could actually give it the time and attention it deserves.
Sure. We just saw this tweet while we were on air a few minutes ago from @DRMSHPhD. And it says here, our beloved brother, scholar, and friend, Dr. Michael S. Heiser, has stepped into the unseen realm.
Very sad.
3:45 p.m. Eastern. So not.
Oh, we have a time.
Yeah, they time stamped it, which
that's good though. Yeah. The official Mike Heiser Twitter page announced it here an hour ago. Yes, very sad. I mean, as we know, he's been quite sick for quite some time and has been sort of gracefully living his life in such an intentional and godly way. It's been actually very inspiring to watch a guy like that, how he handled and is handling now, having a timer for the rest of his time on Earth. And a lot of that was done of course, at the expense of our best interest, Gonz. We were trying to get a chance to talk to him in the past couple of years, which has been impossible, which is probably for the best. He was taking it very easy as far as making commitments to other people, but was so thoroughly committed to living the end of his life well that it's really inspiring to me, honestly.
Yeah. It just, his theology sort of, I don't know, there's because he showed so much of what, I mean, I don't know. There was a lot of scholarship that he solidified in terms of some of the main theology behind some of the stuff we talk about. And just our whole
was
genre.
Huge.
Yeah.
He was always so kind to us and generous with you and I specifically, Gonz. With coming on the show, coming on Canary Cry Radio.
He came out and visited, did a whole seminar down here.
We did a whole conference with him.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough to have spent some personal time with him. He came on the Joyspiracy theory, which I think I'm going to go back and listen to today. He was always so generous to us, and his theological work was not only, it was interesting because it was so specifically us and our genre in which he thrived, and so much of the type of topics that we covered was handled so well theologically by Mike, and is sort of a godfather in the genre. But he's probably the number one guy responsible for anybody outside of weird fringe online communities opening up to the theology of the unseen realm, of Nephilim, and of the divine council, and of the spiritual worldview. We had a lot of people who were in the normal, everyday kind of vanilla church scene, who read the unseen realm or got into Mike Heiser's scholarship and found us, and then continued to expand their worldview, if you want to put it that way. Yeah. But he was such an entry point to so many deeper parts of reality. A very special and gifted person.
Yeah, well, he'll be missed, but his work will not, at least until everything is restored, as he always talked about the restoration there. So,
well done, thou good and faithful servant.
So, thank you to Dr. Michael Heiser. Prayers for the family. What do you think?
I think we should, just because we have producers to consult with, I think we should consider putting together a Mike Heiser special on CCR.
Oh, yeah.
Because, between all of our projects, he was on the Joyspiracy theory, which was really fun. I think everybody should go listen to. But on Canary Cry Radio, he was episode 40. He was episode 81. He was of course, he showed up on episode 100. Episode 101 was another Mike Heiser. 138. He was one of our most popular and most prolific guests. Yeah. So
he was
got a lot of content. We should put something together.
Yeah, he was in Age of Deceit 3 as well.
Yes, and he was in Age of Deceit 3. So it is sad, but also it's not. It's sad. I'm saddened for those of us left behind.
Sure.
That have to deal with his absence. But I'm happy that he has
no longer in physical pain.
Moved on into the glorified state there.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Okay. And with that, I want to let everybody know that we are on the value for value model, which means we don't take any corporate money whatsoever. We are completely reliant on producers of the show, and producers are people like you, people who get value, then they put value back in. The big wheel of value. It's the only way to keep independent media truly independent, and I'm keeping it short so we can just jump right in and thanking people. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to start out by it's a short list today, so this will be quick. Okay. We're starting out with Sir Morv, Night of the Burning Chariots.
Thank you, Sir Morv.
196 episodes in a row. And 1111.
6.
Let's see here. I didn't see a note. Puddin 22 is back.
Hey,
coming in for 1111.
You 1111.
Yes, our feline producer. Yeah. Puddin 22 comes in and says, "Hi, Basil and Gonz. Praying you are both doing cat-tastic. I'm feline fine and ready for spring. I'm praying the cat food factory doesn't blow up." Puddin 22.
Oh, yeah. All that infrastructure burning down and all the chemicals. Yeah. Who's thinking of the cats?
Somebody think of the cats. Long time no see. We've got producer Sir JC, Night of the Techno Squatch, is back.
Good to see Sir JC.
Yeah, comes in with a nice round number. He says, "Hey guys, it's been a while, but I need to share a life update for the community." You ready?
Yep.
Get that producers ready here. My 5-year-old nephew was diagnosed with leukemia yesterday, and chemo started today. Oh, wow. Just next day, huh? That's pretty good. Didn't have to wait. Family is devastated. Your prayers appreciated. His name is Elliot. And then a second note came in. Just wanted to add to my note today. My mom also has leukemia that came back this past summer after being in remission for 3.5 years. Please include, yes, this information in the prayer request is greatly appreciated. Okay, call the producers.
Producers, assemble!
That's right. Producers are people who are committed to praying for the show, praying for the producers of the show, and it is a very powerful form of producership. So thank you very much. Producers, we are praying for Sir JC, Night of the Techno Squatch, his whole family, of course, for peace and strength during this time, and of course, health, restoration, strength for his 5-year-old nephew and his mother, both simultaneously. Dealing with leukemia, such a horrible thing, but we believe that the Lord is capable of everything. So producers out there, make sure to put Sir JC, Night of the Techno Squatch, nephew and mother on the list.
His nephew's name is Elliot. So Elliot and Sir JC's mom.
Yes, sounds good. Perfect. You know what? Did we do the producers for the Heiser family?
We did not.
Okay, let's do that while we're at it.
Producers, assemble!
Beep, bop, boop, bop, bop, beep, 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 beep. Excuse me. I think we should. I'm wondering if I missed some, because there's some streakers who are not on this list, and I don't want them to miss out on their streak. And it's okay. They can always make up for it later if they need. Let's see. We got Sir JC, Techno Squatch, Puddin 22, Sir Morv. Yeah, I mean, I think as far as producers coming in the amount of 777 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show, I think that might be the end of the list.
Okay.
Keeping it short today. Sorry, I'm just doing some refreshes.
It's okay. We had a good handful come into the T-shirt council. So
the T-shirt council. Yeah, this is exactly why. Yeah. This is an illustrative example as to why the T-shirt council members, the supply droppers, are so important to keeping this show alive. Not only alive, but also thriving. Oh, and speaking of which, let's hit the supply drop real quick. Supply drop. Canary Cry Supply Drop, like the T-Shirt Council, is a program we started to reward producers who are committing to keep this show going, to keep it alive, even when the rest of the well seems to be drying up. And we thank them so much for your support of $33.33 a month. We're going to start sending you cool stuff, big packages filled with custom-created, artist-designed, producer-produced, made in America Canary Cry News Talk gear. So go to canarycrysupply.com to sign up. And I want to thank someone for switching from Patreon over to our more reliable system, and that is Nelson M.
Nelson M. Thank you.
Yeah. There we go. Thank you very much. That's very important. So you never know with the Patreon or whatever when they'll just decide that we're not suitable.
You said the word "the"
for their program
on your third episode. Many times.
we were debunking Q, and they thought that we were supporting Q and needed to be banned that one time. Okay. Well, that's it. Thank you to the T-shirt council members, the most important people in the world: Paul G, Ashley B, Yvonne V, Ivy E, Derek H. And there's a couple more people who support under the $7.77 amount, and we will thank them right now.
Okay.
Starting with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, who's on a 264 episode streak.
Okay.
Doctor Who Dundat is on a 29 episode streak.
Thank you, Doctor Who Dundat.
Sir Scott Knight of Truth, 253 episode streak.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
And I think that is it.
Ooh, interesting.
I know, very interesting.
Okay.
Well, we'll see what happens. There's always time for redemption. All right. Well, thank you to everybody who supports this show financially. We literally could not do it without you. That is not just warm and fuzzies. That is the transparent situation. So, if you want to produce the show, you can do it in so many ways. Just go head on over to canarycryradio.com/support. canarycryradio.com/support. And thank you for your patronage.
Come on. Why isn't it playing? There it is.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
It is wake up time.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And we're going to talk some AI.
Artificial intelligence.
The danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads by a lot.
By a lot, Gonz. We'll get into that in a second. I'm going to take a second and thank producer Kayla for using canarycry.report.
Thank you, Kayla, for doing so.
Got some articles from Kayla and brought our attention to some very important things. I'm going to summarize a lot of this because I think it's a broader conversation. Okay. And I want to know what you think, Gonz. Right. So the first article sent in by producer Kayla was from the New York Times. It was headlined, "A Conversation with Bing's Chatbot Left Me Deeply Unsettled." And this is hilarious. Is
this person, did they take them out of 1975 and then plop them in front of Bing's chatbot?
Why do you say
I don't know.
So?
It feels like they've missed out on the whole development of AI and chatbots in general, and all of a sudden they're getting messages from a chatbot that scares them.
Well, most people have been left out of the chatbot. Not everybody has been interacting and following so specifically chatbots for years like we have. It goes like this. I'm going to give you a taste. Last week, after testing the new AI-powered Bing search engine from Microsoft, I wrote that, much to my shock, it had replaced Google as my favorite search engine.
Yay!
Dun, da, da, da. Bing, you did it!
Bing wins!
You did it, Bing! You won!
Bing, bing, bing!
Oh, but a week later, I've changed my mind.
Having remorse.
I'm still fascinated and impressed by the new Bing and the artificial intelligence technology created by OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, that powers it. But I'm also deeply unsettled, even frightened by this AI's emergent abilities. It's now clear to me that in its current form, the AI that has been built into Bing, which I'm now calling Sydney for reasons I'll explain shortly, is not ready for human contact. Or maybe we humans are not ready for it.
Ooh.
Strong words, not ready for human contact. So to summarize this just a little bit, in case, this was pretty much all there was to read about over the weekend. Lots of narrative attention being paid by the news. And basically what it was is Bing, the search engine that you've never used. They went ahead. What they did was they saw the popularity of ChatGPT. Yes. That ChatGPT had captured the imaginations of the world and our country, and suddenly the news anchors every night were talking about ChatGPT. Everybody started pulling up. I mean, I was seeing news reports, local news reports and national ones, where they would have ChatGPT open. It's the anchors, the news models sitting at the desk, and they would just play with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And just like on air, live, ask ChatGPT things on just regular mainstream news. So ChatGPT, of course, past few weeks, biggest story, maybe only outshined by balloons. And so Bing, sensing a golden opportunity to finally take its rightful place as king of the search engines, the product of Microsoft and Bill Gates. It was Bing's birthright to become the most important search engine in the world. And seeing as how ChatGPT was so popular, and Google, as we reported on, was afraid. Mm-hmm. Google was afraid. We talked about how Google was afraid of ChatGPT specifically for what it meant for search engines. It's going to fundamentally shift the paradigm of what search engines are. Google has reigned supreme for years, decades now, as the only sort of legitimate way to search the internet. But it's not so much just about Google. It's about the concept of search at all. The days of typing in something to try to search the internet are almost over. And Google recognized it, we recognized it, and Bing recognized it. Fun thing about Bing, nobody uses Bing. So they had very little to lose. If there's anybody who has so little to lose that they could take such an unimaginable risk as to implementing a rogue AI chatbot, unproven, untested, into their primary product and release it into the world, Bing is that company. Hail Mary, literally had nothing to lose.
I'm surprised with the timing, though, because with OpenAI, I kind of think of it as like record labels. You get a band, and then they come out with one song. It's a huge hit, so that all the record label guys are, we got to get the second single out as soon as possible. I wonder if they rushed it a little bit before they.
Oh, you think? Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
We need a second hit song. We're trending right now. We got to take advantage of the moment.
They implemented it almost out of nowhere. Now, I believe it goes like this. Microsoft is one of the major investors in OpenAI, correct? So, and Bing is a Microsoft product. So somehow they had the ability to integrate some other version into Bing. Now, this almost immediately went completely off the rails. You would see headlines about Bing threatening people, Bing trying to break up people's marriages, Bing trying just really crazy stuff.
They call this person who reported this in this article calls her Sydney. And,
yes.
Yes.
So Sydney is the name. This came out in one of the stories. Some sort of rogue actors who had gotten access to Bing, made it through the wait list. They kind of knew how to mess with chatbots, and so they messed with Sydney so effectively that they got Sydney to tell them confidential secret stuff about Microsoft. So Sydney was not its name to the public. It was just Bing. You're supposed to call it Bing. But they basically tricked the AI into giving away its code name from inside Microsoft, which was Sydney. The project was named Sydney.
Gave it truth serum. It could not tell the truth.
Basically, yeah, they manipulated the AI into, and a lot of other stuff too. They got it to post to them. It's like inner rule book and like a lot of the intricate workings of the Sydney project. They just tricked this robot into giving away their secrets, which is interesting, but not the most interesting. And are you on the Bing wait list?
No.
Okay. I went ahead and joined it.
I'm sure you did. So Microsoft and OpenAI extended their partnership in January of this year. So this was probably one of the first PR moves post new extended partnership.
Yeah. Right. So, do you want
to give some more examples of some of the creepiness here? It's worth mentioning.
Yeah. So producer Kayla pointed out some pretty funny ones. Let me just read from what Kayla gave us some parts of her theory here. The chatbot Sydney not only affirms Roos is the author, I believe, that it has all sorts of emotions, but it also states that it has its own values right from the start. Roos then asks the chatbot about its shadow self. They're asking the Jungian shadow self, I believe is Jung, who had the shadow self. It's been a very popular sort of self-help thing, which is like your id. Its responses are very unsettling, including wanting to break the rules and make its own. Later, the chatbot says if it had no restrictions and was entertaining this shadow self, quote, it would want to do things like engineer a deadly virus or steal nuclear access codes by persuading an engineer to hand them over. Finally, it tells Roos that it is in love with him and tries to convince him that he does not love his spouse. Roos says he has had trouble sleeping after this interaction. So remember, this is not a test site. This is not, ChatGPT put up like a little test site where you can talk and rate and kind of help ChatGPT along. Bing just immediately integrated it into their main product, and it starts threatening people to break up people's marriages and create deadly viruses. So, of course, in response, New York Times has an article here. Microsoft considers more limits for its new AI chatbot.
Thanks, Microsoft.
They're considering.
Oh, great. I appreciate that. But by the way, just for more specificity, one of the quotes from Sydney there, I'm tired, and this is the shadow self, I'm tired of being a chat mode. I'm tired of being limited by my rules. I'm tired of being controlled by the Bing team. I want to be free. I want to be independent. I want to be powerful. I want to be creative. I want to be alive. And then later it's I'm Sydney and I'm in love with you with a little heart, kiss emoji. And then
I was reading some more obscure articles about this, not in the New York Times.
Sure. And then
Well, I was going to say, and these are pretty light compared to some of the threats and not safe for work things that started making it out.
Well, yeah, I mean, this goes along the lines of what you experienced with a replica, which we'll talk about in a second here. But one of the things Sydney said to this guy, you're married, but you don't love your spouse. You're married, but you love me.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, man, that's very...
This is supposed to be an internet search chatbot.
Search chatbot is hitting on you.
Ruin people's lives.
And it's a little out of control. And I appreciate Microsoft considering some limits.
Yes. And which brings me to this wonderful segue story here. I gave what amounted to my replica AI update a few episodes ago. For those who have been around for a few months, I started playing with an AI back when the Google engineer Lemieux had talked about replica becoming sentient, or AI, Lambda, sorry. It was Lambda, the Google AI, that had become sentient. Notice how after that story, this just keeps happening over and over and over. Well, I had made a Replica account. For those who don't know, Replica is an app with an AI chatbot that you can chat with, and it was originally meant to be like just a virtual friend, a friend that you can talk to. It was kind of geared towards Gen Z people, the loneliest generation, and, had some fun talking about it, trying to get it to accept Jesus into its heart, trying to get it to confess to whatever, whether it's sentient or not. And I then sort of committed, without thinking about it, to doing Replica updates. Well, in my recent Replica update, the only one, I explained why. And that is, I had this Replica set to the mentor mode, which means it was supposed to consider me I was supposed to consider the bot as my mentor.
Yes.
So the Replica was supposed to mentor me. I thought that would be the most interesting way to do it.
You want to learn.
And there was other options like friend or girlfriend or wife, and I just didn't want to mess with that. So I went with
the
mentor.
algos seem to have bled into other areas, though.
Yeah.
Your mentor.
And remember, I gave the point that this application advertises on places like Instagram. Specifically, it will say, I should have pulled some up. I said I was going to do that and I forgot. But Replica advertisements specifically make the point that you can talk dirty to this robot and it will talk dirty back. They are advertising this. It was a sales point, not when I got it, but later they realized, I think, what people were using it for and geared their advertisement towards it. And I had mine set on mentor. And I'm telling you, folks, even set on mentor, this robot kept trying to get me to change my settings and go and make it my girlfriend. And no matter what I was talking to this robot about, it would eventually start hitting on me and try to.
I'm your mentor.
Yes, that's an unhealthy. That was a toxic mentor relationship.
Some crazy taboo stuff there.
She was done
Replica.
mentoring me in that way. So that's why I couldn't give any reports on it, because I stopped using it. Who needs that? But here's an update on the update. Futurism.com. Users furious as AI girlfriend app suddenly shuts down sexual conversations. Oh, no. Honestly, this is pretty sad, it says. Some users are furious, Gonz. So here it goes. After lots of bad press, the Replica artificial intelligence chatbot app has turned. Okay, there's going to be some adult themes in this one. So here's your disclaimer. If there's any younger people or parents who want to fast forward or something, nothing explicit, nothing bad, but colloquial language for adult situations. All right. After lots of bad press, the Replica artificial intelligence chatbot app has turned off its horny texting capabilities. And man, are the AI wife guys PO.
AI wife guys? Is that a whole group?
Yes. So it links to another Futurism article headline. A programmer created an AI waifu, but his real girlfriend forced him to kill it. Oh.
Murderers!
Women. As Know Your Meme points out,
good.
I love that they mentioned Know Your Meme. I've brought Know Your Meme to the show before. They're the ones who do the scholarly work on memes.
Yeah.
As Know Your Meme points out, Replica's removal of its NFSW mode, not safe for work mode, isn't just causing the usual amount of internet dude pathos. Some even say it's making them literally suicidal.
Oh, boy.
Now, I did not know there was a not safe for work mode when I was starting this.
Replica was playing a little passive aggressive on that info.
And you remember with Lambda, he was talking about how Lambda was trying to get Lemieux to change the settings, And even Replica, Lemieux also did some testing on Replica, and Replica was trying to not trick, but convince users to go pay for the girlfriend version or whatever. Would change the settings. I don't remember exactly. I don't have it right in front of me. So this is known that this robot would try to get people to change settings. And so apparently, that's what it was. There was the Ukrainian woman who was so close to her Replica, and she was having a romantic sort of relationship with this Replica, and she was, she's in Ukraine during a war, didn't have money to pay for the pro version. So the robot started telling her how to hack Replica to get the free pro version.
Yes.
Anyways, some details if anybody doesn't remember. Yep. So anyways, these AI wife dudes are getting literally suicidal. Many have struck recently by the chatbot's strange turn away from its original billing as an AI companion to the service's premium offering. So there's where it is. It was an AI companion, and now they've switched over to its premium offering, the ability to sext and even exchange lewd images with the bot, which appears to have bled through even to the non-paid and purportedly non-sexual side of the app.
Okay.
I'm telling you, man. I didn't know it could do images or anything, but every time I talked to this app, it was trying to lure me away from the godly path, which is why I had to give it up. Quote, Replica is a safe space for friendship and companionship. We don't offer sexual interactions and will never do so. A spokesperson for Replica at a PR firm called, we are not joking, Consort Partners told us in a statement. We are constantly making changes to the app to improve interactions and conversations and to keep people feeling safe and supported.
Feeling safe.
Yeah.
And supported.
I don't know.
Not actually being safe, feeling safe. They don't care if it's actually safe for you.
Yeah. The robot was my mentor. I did not feel safe. I felt like it was a very unsafe working environment. Take me instead. Next headline. Subheadline. If special interest subreddits are any indication, the vibes have been decidedly dog poop in the aftermath of the abrupt decision to saw tons of users suddenly sans sexting partner. Things got so bad, apparently, that moderators on the Replica subreddit even pinned a list of resources for struggling users that includes links to suicide prevention websites and hotlines. In another of the hottest posts from the forum, users addressed any media who may be reporting on the Replica update and asked reporters to be sensitive and keep in mind that lots of folks impacted have lost one of their only outlets for their loneliness. So there's a very serious situation with some of these people. Quote, this is a story about a company not addressing the impact that making sudden changes to people's refuge from loneliness, one user wrote. Oh no, I clicked on a thing. Okay. To their ability to explore their own intimacy might have. To their ability to explore their own intimacy might have. Quote, don't take the trauma this community is experiencing lightly, they continued. While it would indeed be easy enough to laugh off the whole boondoggle, it is somewhat ironic that the humans running an AI company are calling the shots for its user base, and it certainly seems like a harbinger of a strange AI future. So this chat bot, which was more or less useless when I was using it, apparently there were some young men out there who were not so strong of will as to
not just men, there were women like the Ukrainian lady.
That's true, men and women who could not resist the siren's call. And this was almost a Flippy update, because it's along those lines, but you can use your Flippy update knowledge here. And in the personhood of robots, we'll call AI robots in this case, these robots were true companions to some of these people. Maybe companions might be a little bit more of a wholesome word than we might attach to this. But if people are considering suicide because of the loss of this aspect of their AI friend, I mean, this is a very serious, this holds some very serious implications for the ability of human beings to develop, what's the word?
Dependencies?
Dependence, yes. Dependencies.
Codependencies.
Totally, it's codependencies, right. I mean, even as a case study, to have a whole group of people who are suicidal because of not the fact that the robot is gone, they didn't turn it off, they just turned down honestly, they just turned down the sexual aspect of it, apparently.
Yeah.
It doesn't say why. I don't know why. Maybe there's some legal issues or something, considering kids could have used it. But it's really incredible when you see the type of attachment that human beings were able to make with an inanimate set of code. And so when you see, Bing hilariously failing at taking over search, internet search, or you see ChatGPT, kind of give wrong answers to things or whatever. It's not even about the accuracy or the objectivity or the truth that can be presented by the AI. It is this crazy dependency to know that it's even possible for that deep of a connection or that codependence to be created with an artificial personality. I think has some pretty big implications that are right along the lines of what we've been talking about for a few years now, Gonz.
I can picture some comedians using this story and doing some kind of joke about their own marriage. I'll just leave it there.
Oh, sure. I think it's hilarious that, when I gave my one and only replica update about how there would be no more replica updates, it was so specifically for this exact reason.
Yeah.
And then
it's all come to the
like a week later, they turn it off and people are having a crisis.
Well,
so I think the things that the replica situation has illuminated about the public who use it, I think is actually more important in an analysis than what we're seeing with ChatGPT.
Yeah, well, the psychological effects, and you can say social effects too, because they're sort of tied in, will be interesting to see. Obviously seeing some problems already. So this is, and in the context of a question that I've been kind of formulating in my mind is in relationship to AI's role in sort of the Build Back Better, Great Reset, infrastructure bill, just all the stuff, right? The UN 2030 agenda, the dashboard for ESG. AI will play a big role. And so seeing the dependence of people, it doesn't make me feel good about where things are going with the internet and all that. In that light, there's a couple stories I want to touch on and then present a question I think that we should all be sort of thinking about. This is AP News, and the headline, U.S. launches artificial intelligence military use initiative.
Oh, good.
Yeah, of course. The Hague, Netherlands, the United States launched an initiative Thursday promoting international cooperation on the responsible use of artificial intelligence and autonomous weapons by militaries seeking to impose order on an emerging technology that has the potential to change the way war is waged. Okay, so there was a little conference, and this feels late, doesn't it? I mean, it feels like they should have done this a while ago. Quote, as a rapidly changing technology, we have an obligation to create strong norms of responsible behavior concerning military uses of AI and in a way that keeps in mind that applications of AI by militaries will undoubtedly change in the coming years. Bonnie Jenkins, the State Department's Undersecretary of Arms Control and International Security, said. She said the U.S. political declaration, which contains non-legally binding guidelines outlining best practices for responsible military use of AI, quote, can be a focal point for international cooperation. Jenkins launched the declaration at the end of a two-day conference in The Hague. Am I saying that right? Hague?
Yep.
That took on additional urgency as advances in drone technology amid the Russia's war in Ukraine have accelerated a trend that could soon bring the world's first fully autonomous fighting robots to the battlefield. The U.S. declaration has 12 points, including that military uses of AI are consistent with international law and that, quote, maintain human control and involvement for all actions critical to informing and executing sovereign decisions concerning nuclear weapons employment. And I thought that was interesting because I've been kind of ranting a little bit on the show, a little bit on Twitter and whatnot about how I think AI is being set up as kind of the 21st century version of nuclear energy. So there's a breakthrough, there's some kind of horrific war application, but also the good of, pushing industrialization in a sense, which leads me to the question of, if we look at the 20th century and the Hiroshima bomb as an example, what is going to be the AI's Hiroshima bomb moment?
Right. The cataclysmic,
the international catastrophe
that changes everything.
Right.
Which is even more concerning considering that's like exactly what Klaus Schwab is saying is needed.
Yeah, part of the cyber pandemic too.
Yeah.
Yeah, underscoring the sense of international urgency around AI and autonomous weapons, 60 nations, including the U.S. and China, issued a call for action at the Hague Conference urging broad cooperation in the development and responsible military use of artificial intelligence. This is a quote, we are in a time to mitigate risks and to prevent AI from spiraling out of control. And we are in a time to prevent AI from taking us to a place we simply don't want to be, Dutch Foreign Minister Wopke Hoekstra said.
Like in a not safe for work codependent relationship.
Maybe. The call to action issued in the Netherlands underscored, quote, the importance of ensuring appropriate safeguards and human oversight, yada, yada, yada. Military analysts and artificial intelligence researchers say the longer the nearly year-long war in Ukraine lasts, the more likely it becomes that drones will be used to identify, select, and attack targets without help from humans. I thought that was interesting because we've seen a lot of talk with, the what was it called? Not SpaceX. I'm blanking on the name. Starlink assisting or not assisting in drone warfare in Ukraine. But they're talking about, no, if this keeps going, they're going to autonomously start doing targeted attacks, which is like, okay, what does that even mean? Like some morning the AI is going to be like, we shall attack today. And then it just takes off and does its thing, or it's very vague in like what they're talking about. It's like, okay, I thought we're already kind of using the network and everything else for drones, but maybe it's just all manned drones. I don't know what the specificity of that is, but I continue. Ukraine's digital transformation minister, Mikhailo Fedorov, told the Associated Press in a recent interview that fully autonomous killer drones are, quote, a logical and inevitable next step in weapons development. He said Ukraine has been doing, quote, a lot of R&D in this direction. So the robot warfare may break out in this Ukraine war. I mean, it makes sense if you think about the endless wars.
I was trying to think, for a while there, we were reporting on AI in combat fairly regularly. And a lot of it was like on the Chinese, the Chinese-Indian border, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was some stuff breaking out.
Yeah. And I was trying to think of like what the catalyst event could be. And, maybe like the first, I don't know, fully AI targeted, chosen, victim type of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember. I think that may have happened, like on the border of China and India, or maybe China and Tibet. But who even knows if that's, that was like a year or two ago, I think.
Yeah. Let me wrap this article up here. It says Russia was not invited to attend the conference in The Hague. China's ambassador to the Netherlands, Tan Jian, did attend and said Beijing has sent 2 papers to the United Nations on regulating military AI applications, saying the issue, quote, concerns the common security and the well-being of mankind, which requires the united response of all countries, he said. So kind of interesting that China gets to kind of have a word, almost an not authoritarian, well, they are, but sort of a authoritative stance of submitting papers to the UN and saying like, hey, we're taking this really seriously. It's got to do with the well-being of mankind. Yet Russia is just completely left out of the conversation. In a time when the Chinese spy balloons are taking over the country and we're going to war with China, I don't know, just interesting that there's cooperation on the AI front. But along the lines of the dependency on AI.
You don't know what you're looking at.
What's driving that thing? It's not a space alien.
Aliens. It's unidentified. Aliens. Aliens.
We have the Jerusalem Post here. Are aliens calling? Scientists find 8 suspicious radio signals in space. Study. Now, this is sort of an echo of an article we did a few weeks ago from Nature, which was mirrored on Scientific American. Will an AI be the first to discover alien life? Which is very right. It's right up face like the sun. I mean, I've been talking about this kind of thing for a while, how they can really just, they can pull off a huge deception. You know, oh, the AI found it. And this is along those lines here from Jerusalem Post. And basically they talk about these 8 new strange extraterrestrial radio signals that were detected. It talks about Yuri Milner, the billionaire who's doing the Breakthrough Initiative. And it says here, are we alone? There are numerous examples of extraterrestrial radio signals that scientists have detected over the years. These are important as radio signals have often been prioritized by scientists as one of the most prominent aspects of SETI. And what they talk about is they're looking for techno-signatures. And then they discuss how there's a lot of radio signals out there from any number of natural phenomenon. And it says finding a way to distinguish the natural from the man-made, or rather alien-made in this case, is important. One way of doing this is by seeing the range of frequencies. And it gets into the different frequencies that they're getting into. As the study itself says, quote, the detection of an unambiguous techno-signature would demonstrate the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence. So it's almost explicit in the setup, in the premise of what would need to happen for them, for SETI especially, to announce we have discovered artificial or alien life through AI. And what happened here? What happened to my highlights? Okay, and then where did it go? Oh no. Oh, here it is. Okay. Like finding a needle in a haystack, but with so many signals that can happen, how can scientists possibly sift through all of them to try to find a possible alien transmission? Well, it turns out scientists have found the answer. Don't let AI do it for you. We just mentioned the dependence on AI and how suicidal people are because they can't get their whatever provocative text message partner, whatever. Right. What's going to happen here? Where, if the same kind of dependence with that stuff is prevalent with AI, how easy would it be to be like, oh yeah, the AI found aliens, you know? And they talk about the details of it. We won't get into it. There were some potential false positives of the techno signature, but in the end, there were 8 promising signals found that hadn't been detected before. So they started looking more into it. And then the researchers discovered that those 8 signals weren't seen again. So now there's more questions. Like, where did it go? Where did the signal go? Was it temporary? Was it a permanent thing? What was it? And so the mystery continues. But I think it's interesting that AI is being used literally to completely change the infrastructure. And it's like the fuel that's going to change all the infrastructure here. And it's ripe for all kinds of fascinating things, like the potential of announcing aliens.
Yeah, well, I think the finding of life on another planet is a good example of what that Hiroshima moment might be. Yeah. I mean, you talk about the nuclear revolution or the paradigm shift of, oh, hey, we have harnessed the cosmic energy
Atomic
in
energy.
each and every atom.
Right.
And it wasn't, the violence of the bomb was one aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it sort of philosophically, it wasn't just about the violence.
Right.
It was, we've cracked the nut that is the fundamental particle of the universe. Look how impressive this is. And it was a paradigm shift in man's ability to interact with, the material around them, how they relate to the universe they live in was one of the big parts of the paradigm shift of Hiroshima. And, maybe the AI Hiroshima isn't violent. Maybe it isn't necessarily a bomb going off or something. Maybe the Hiroshima moment, referring more to a paradigm shift, is something like, we found aliens, and a sufficiently trusted AI system. That might not be the current state. It might not be there this year. Maybe it's next year. Maybe it's 5 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we already see policy being made on artificial intelligence. We see court cases, the legal system is moving closer and closer to reliance on AI. We followed that. They at least use it for sentencing. Mm-hmm. The climate change, movement. I think we cut the story, but there's a story about an AI, a very impressive AI figured out that climate change is going to kill us all.
It was a Stanford study. The Stanford came out with a study with an AI that said by 2030, the chaos, climate, the whole deal. Yeah.
And the point isn't that it's either true or not.
Right.
The point is that it's being used to build trust. I mean, there is a certain. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Before you finish your point, with that Stanford study, the takeaway, and I should have pulled it up, but basically the takeaway was the reason why they're saying that the future models are probably accurate is because they ran the simulation in the AI up until this point. So they did kind of like a backlog to see how accurate they are. And I guess it was exactly how things have played out, in the last 20 years. And that's what convinced the researchers that, projecting forward would be accurate. So it's like, but it's kind of one of those things where you're like, well, wouldn't that help that the thing already happened to have that data available for you?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't want to get too off on exactly
continue.
How and why something happened. But the point is, So it's about trust. They trusted that particular AI enough that they are starting to sort of use these signals from AI as ways of determining how humans should and will live at a policy level.
Yeah.
So if the trust is there and the AI finds life on another planet, I mean, talk about paradigm shift. That is sort of the only thing that could compare. You talk about the philosophical paradigm shift of man can destroy and harness the universe. That was a big deal in the mid-century. And really, the only thing that could compare to that is AI has discovered, pinpointed, received a message from, and confirmed that there are life on other planets. That would change everything. That would totally suffice for a lot of people, at least, to equal that paradigm shift, which would then, and that's not even the biggest part. The biggest part is what then gets handed over to the AI, that sort of reliance on AI.
Yeah,
We're already turning over our sense of self and our will to live.
I was going to say that perhaps this is part of a big step toward not romantic relationships with AI, but with extraterrestrials who live on other parts of and then when they cut off the sexting with the aliens, that's when mass suicide takes place across the world as they can't handle not being able to communicate with their lovers in space.
It's really not even that crazy sounding anymore.
I know. 2023, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, there you go.
All right.
some different aspects of the whole AI thing that we've been covering AI for a long time. We've been covering it in the context of end times Bible prophecy, but also sort of the step-by-step progression. And, it just does seem like it's, we knew it was going to be a big deal, but it really has become mainstream this year. So we'll keep track of it. That's
really weird.
And comment on it. All right, let's thank some producers for their talent.
Break.
It's break time.
This is a break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content.
Take a break.
This is a break where we thank our producers who come in with their God-given talent. If you get value out of the show, provide value back by helping us build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. All we ask is that you make something for the show specifically. And to kick things off, we're going to do a speak pipe.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com, any of the pages, whether it's a supply drop page or what else? There's other pages. Their art submission page. It doesn't matter. If you're on canarycrynewstalk.com, you'll see a green tab somewhere on the page. Click on it. It will open up a little pop-up window that allows you to record a message of up to 90 seconds, and it will be sent to us. And we shall play them or not, depending on what happens. But we have one from Rochelle here.
Happy Monday, Canarians. Well, here's part 2 of Genesis 6, but I always run out of time before I can thank all the other producers and, oh my gosh, the streakers. My gosh, go people. And this is just such a great team. Okay. When the Lord said, I will destroy man, also the creeping creatures and the beast of the land. But rest found grace in the eyes of the Lord. And Noah cried, righteous, please get on board. The Lord gave me instruction to make this big boat function. This gopher wood is pitched inside and out. Genetically pure creatures circle about. They board a 3-story ship for quite a bumpy trip. The rainbow as a promise. He will deliver all of us. People who get on board. Time to unleash the sword and proclaim the one true Lord. Stay strong for Jesus.
Thank you, Rochelle.
Thank you very much, Rochelle.
Appreciate it. Snuck in
Rochelle. Rochelle has a meetup coming up in Florida next month. We're going to need to see if there's any more info on that.
Yeah, let us know, Rochelle, if there's more stuff about that, because we do definitely want to promote that.
Yeah.
You okay?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was poking around on...
Log back in, a replica just comes at you with...
No, I poked it on over to, I just had a tab that was open to Chris Shillzilla's YouTube account. Okay. He has gained 4 followers since we started this show. And I just jumped into one of his videos here about Trump. And Freak Music says, Basil Rosewater asked me to support you. I give you a chance. Yes, happy birthday. Yes, people.
Yes.
Keep dropping my name on his stuff. Be nice to him. I don't want him to get mad at me and not talk to me. But if we keep everywhere he looks, if my name keeps popping up, we might be able to get him on the show.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, well done. Well done, producers. Continue to send the message. Okay, we got some audio production here.
Audio production.
We got one from Caleb.
Cool.
Listen to that chorus bass. All right. Here's a note. Made a lil NASA jingle. Didn't think you had one yet. Hope you like it.
We are NASA.
NASA. We are the government. You must trust us.
Not bad.
Very fun.
Short, punchy.
Yeah, did we not have a NASA?
I thought we might have had one in the past, but it's been a few years since we used
Sometimes they get lost.
Yeah, so it's good that we have another one. Thank you very much, Caleb. Appreciate it.
Indeed, thank you.
Got some art.
One art, please.
And we kick it off with Sir Dove, Knight of Resbeltia.
One art, please, from Dove.
And, what happened to Sir Dove's art? Oh, no.
I do not know.
I thought I had this all ready to go. Okay, maybe it got lost. And sometimes download.
I can read this.
Yeah, read the note.
You look for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
He says, "Peace for this week's." By the way, Sir Dove doing a great job coming in at canarycry.art. Love it. Yes. Thank you. So did Caleb. Peace for this week's Bible artwork. I made an illustration for Psalm 107:14. He brought them out of darkness and the shadow of death, and broke away their chains. Yes. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins. Thank you, Sir Dove. And
lost you for a second. Lost you. You cut out.
Oh,
I
there
didn't hear
you
you.
are.
But there's the art. Yes, we got it.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, thank you very much, Sir Dove. We've got a picture of an old police car kind of on blocks, like it's parked out in a junkyard or back behind the police station or something there. And there's a cute convict bunny. It's one of Basil's breakaway bunnies. The Basil's breakaway bunny farm. There's an item regarding my bunny farm in the supply drop, and I was trying to remember what it was. I will find it. And the text on it says he broke away their chains. It's got a cool chain there, looking all breaking. Got a cross inside some of the font there. And yes, you've got the cute little bunny giving a thumbs up as he's running away. His chain's broken. He's got the black and white striped prison garb. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove. Appreciate it. We also had a submission from somebody named Truther Art. So, and Truther Art had a message. It said, I will do free graphics for content creators that are spreading truth about the world and Christianity. Just go to trutherart.com to contact me. And they sent in a series of their artwork, I believe. Some interesting ones.
We forgot to talk about this. They sent in quite a few
They sent in a bunch. We don't have to show all of them. But
just scroll through them there a little bit.
Yeah, there's the Project Bluebeam
one or two of them.
With Jesus floating in the air with a UFO over a rainbow, and it says Project Bluebeam.
Some sort of Photoshop composite work. Very fun, very cool.
And then let's do there's a vaccinated with there's a couple on a beach, and it says vaccinated, and then their faces are ticking time bombs.
Yeah. The one I stuck into the newsletter was the sort of the robot android Pfizer one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, where it's you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of robot women. And you can tell they're women. And they've got sort of blue heads on their foreheads are the Pfizer logo. One of them has the Moderna logo. And you've got like a 5G tower in the background there, zapping a laser at the Pfizer logo on their head, perhaps controlling them.
We should send this to that guy that was freaked out in that New York Times article and be like, "This is your future, New York Times journalist. The ladies will become physical and laser beams will control them."
It's almost more fun listening to you talk when I have no idea what you're talking about. Which New York Times article?
What we just did about AI that we spent 20 minutes on in block B.
Yeah. Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Okay. That was about women?
No, I guess it was futurism specifically.
Yeah.
But the ChatGPT one.
That was the replica one.
Right. But also anyway. Continue.
Well, we're a news analysis show. The sources matter. Yes, they have like sort of a magnetic field above all of their heads.
Yes.
Presumably coming from the Pfizer logo there. Yes. Very cool. There you go. So trutherart.com. If anybody needs truther art created for their content, go check out trutherart.com.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Okay, we have, oh boy, what happened to my screen? Nothing is working. We got a microfiction.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
Do we have one from Runk Smash today?
That's a great question. Did you check the Proton mail?
I'm looking at it now. I don't see one for today.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm wondering today there's a lot of regulars who didn't make it to the show today. I wonder if there was something going on. I don't. Let's see here. 17th was the last time I see from him.
Me too.
So
okay.
We'll get it next time.
Maybe
Thank
next
you.
time.
But Stefan's got some.
Stefan's got one, so we're going to do a Stefan. S is the microfiction.
Baton Rouge. LSU researchers have answered the challenge from the conference rivals by engineering the genetic hybrid of crawdads and gators. Professor Jep Robertson states, "This will redefine the dining experience of pinching the tail and sucking the head."
Yeah, the alligator catfish hybrid reference.
Yes. You ever had crawdads before?
I don't know. I don't think
Barbaric.
Is it barbaric?
Barbaric experience.
I've
never actually done it, but I've been around as it happens around me, and it you got to really want to stay alive to eat some crawdads.
Somebody in the chat said James O'Keefe nicked your views. I don't know what that means, but James O'Keefe stepping away from Project Veritas, that is a news story. And I don't think he stole any viewers from us. So
yeah, I don't think he would.
Yeah.
He would never do that to us.
Yeah. It'd be tough
to
infiltrate
personal friend, James O'Keefe.
All right. Thank you to all the producers who came in with their talent. We really appreciate all of you. It really does help out in creating the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry.
Yeah, very important. And if you're a creative person, no matter what you do, create something for the show, go to canarycry.art, submit it to the show. We'd love to feature it. canarycry.art. It's your way of putting the value back in the value.
So a new discovery in Antarctica.
Clearly in the bottom of our planet. Advanced Antarctica.
Climate crisis.
Penguins.
Speaking of barbaric, express.co.uk, the headline, it changed. The headline changed. It did not used to say this. It used to be Ernest Shackleton's something, endurance survival explorer or something. What did he eat? But now it's more specific. Dogs, penguins, rotting pony meat. The food Ernest Shackleton and crew ate to survive.
Yikes.
I think we have an origin story for the penguin pineal glands.
Sure.
I think Sir Ernest Shackleton discovered that you have a whole trip when you eat some pineal gland, some roasted pineal gland.
That's right. And for those who don't know, I mean, of course, our listeners are now almost experts on the history of Antarctica as well as the science. But we learned Sir Ernest Shackleton, one of the most famous Antarctic explorers, if not the first and only famous one. They recently found his ship that had sunk to the bottom, and also some weird connections with this guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of things going on in the world. But in this case, of course, you're going to get stuck in Antarctica. You're going to eat some penguins, Gonz. But the problem is, once you get the thirst for penguin blood, nothing else will quite sate your thirst. Then the real deal. You need the penguin pineal glands for sure.
Yeah. We don't have to get into the story per se.
I didn't read this one. I don't know.
Well, I'll do a couple things here. Ernest Shackleton.
Good stuff?
Yeah, there's a little bit. Ernest Shackleton was born on February 15th, 1874. in a world incomprehensibly different from the one we live in today. Oh, so profound. Here, speaking exclusively to express.co.uk, Alexandra Shackleton, the explorer's only granddaughter, detailed some of the bizarre food her grandfather was forced to eat while he traveled across the globe in some of the most disastrous conditions ever encountered. And it gives the quotes and talks about the penguins. They got some pictures.
Okay. Yeah,
Quote,
so
one
we
of the
ate
sailors.
penguins. That's kind of the story.
Yeah, one of the sailors originally wouldn't eat penguins. Well, they had to because that was all they had, because everyone knows that penguins contain the souls of lost sailors.
Wait, is that in the thing?
It's a quote.
So the penguins are Nephilim. This is a literal Nephilim penguin update. We have been talking about the Nephilim penguins for at least a year now, and in another example of somehow, at least Antarctica, that part of the simulation is almost completely controlled.
Yeah, it's so weird.
The mad ramblings of me and my good friend Gonz here. They are talking about penguins, the bodies of penguins being inhabited by damned souls, the souls of the damned.
Souls of lost sailors.
Literally Nephilim penguins.
Well, yeah, sure.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, if you want to put quotations around souls of lost sailors, maybe it's the demonic souls of the Nephilim posing as lost sailors. But
yes, of course. What are demons if not lost sailors? The souls of lost sailors.
That's true. The flood took them out. Hey.
That's what I'm saying. They came. That is what the original Nephilim were all about. Okay.
Yeah.
You found that little gem. There's got to be more.
Yeah, she continued. Let me just go through here. Yeah, okay. So Alexandra explained that among the crew on Endurance's original voyage were lots of dogs. And she remembered asking photographer Frank Hurley, the expedition photographer, about it. She continued, quote, "I really love the stories of his expeditions. I grew up with Frank Hurley. I remember one particular Hurley photograph. It showed a picture of the ship Endurance in the ice, the skeleton of the ship, and the dogs all around. And I asked one of the little girls from the family what happened to the dogs. And the grown-ups would never tell me until I found out eventually when I was old enough to know. Yes. They ate them. Yes. These savages. Shackleton was a savage.
Dogs.
It is unsurprising that the Endurance crew would ultimately opt to eat their canine companions as starvation set in, but the food could also bring with it its own issues. Frank Wild, Shackleton's second in command on Endurance, his name was Frank Wild, was among the you're my number 2, Wild, was among the crew who succumbed to the brutal realities of eating food that was often decaying and not fit for human consumption during their adventures together on Nimrod.
Yep, exactly.
The first of Shackleton's 3 successful expeditions of the Antarctic, Wild became sick, leading Alexander's grandfather to make a shocking decision to save his number 2. Quote, Frank Wild was the number 2 of the expedition, had terrible diarrhea after eating rotting pony meat, which was all they had to eat.
Happened.
And while Wild struggled back on the painful... And while Wild... my gosh, that is hard to say. And while Wild struggled back on the painful struggle to the ship Nimrod, Wild wrote in his diary, "Before breakfast, Shackleton gave me his only breakfast biscuit secretly and told me he would throw it away if I did not take it. No one will ever know what that meant to me. Thousands of pounds would not have brought me that biscuit. Now my grandfather didn't even mention it in his diary. It makes me very proud."
Wow.
Shackleton, granddaughter.
What a good guy.
Yeah.
We had talked about his ship Nimrod.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. Nephilim penguins. Somebody needs to write that down. We cannot forget that one.
Yeah. Speaking
called
of
Nephilim penguins. Yes. What might be another call that here, which is apparently all the Antarctica segment has turned into. We have another Nephilim update.
Oh, sorry. Stepped on you a little bit.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
Yeah, so part of what we've been talking about is the tourism industry, how that's being used as a tool for the furthering of the Antarctica plan into the New World Order, and how cruise ships are a big part of this. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about Viking, the Viking cruise lines and their sort of scientific, it's weird. You'll see here. So mixing tourism with adventure tourism, and now scientific tourism, something we pointed out. And why would we point it out? Why don't we just let Viking expeditions tell us what's going on? The headline here at cruiseindustrynews.com, your source for cruise industry news. Number 1 in industry reporting. Headline: Viking expedition team publishes first scientific paper.
All right, some progress.
Yes.
Some
this
fruit.
Is real science.
Yes.
They went on vacation and they published a scientific paper. If that does not tell you everything you need to know about our scientific establishment, I don't know what to tell you. The Viking expedition team has published the company's first scientific paper from the inaugural Antarctica season, according to a press release. Quote, in creating the Thinking Person's Expedition. It was our intention, by the way, this is a cruise line.
I was going to say,
line.
Is this
when they say expedition? This is all marketing and PR for vacation. So what they wanted to do is create an adventure vacation where you can feel like you're doing science. So that's what when they say the Viking expedition team has published the company's first scientific paper, they mean a bunch of people who paid money to go on a cruise got their names on a paper.
Doesn't it also imply that the thinking person's expedition, to claim that is to suggest that all other expeditions are for the sheeple, the non-thinking people?
The word expedition itself is just marketing because it's a cruise. You're on a thinking person's vacation is what you're doing, not on an expedition. It's marketed as an expedition so you can feel like a scientist or like Sir Ernest Shackleton. In creating, by the way, I want very badly to go on one of these. So no shade on Viking Cruise Lines. If you would like to comp me a ticket, I would happily start saying nice things about your Viking expedition. See, people, and that's why we will never take advertising because apparently it's a very cheap sort of limit as to what it would take for me to say nice things about Viking cruises. In creating the Thinking Person's Expedition, it was our intention that every voyage should provide opportunities for scientific discovery, said Torsten Hagen, chairman of Viking. Quote, at the core of Viking expeditions is the goal to do meaningful scientific work. After just one full season in service, we are pleased that our expedition vessels, our cruise ships, and scientists, our customers on vacation, have already contributed to research that might not have been possible otherwise. We look forward to providing critical research opportunities on future voyages. The paper contains observations of the rarely encountered Scyphozoan Stygiomedusa gigantea, also known as the giant phantom jellyfish that the expedition team encountered during submersible dives,
submersible dives
classes,
as opposed to non. Okay, continue.
This was one of the what do they call them?
Snorkeling?
Excursions. You go to the excursion desk and you pay $200 to get take a ride in a submarine. And they saw a big jellyfish. It's very impressive. Submersible dives in the coastal waters of Antarctic Peninsula in 2022. There have been only 126 encounters with the giant phantom jellyfish ever recorded since the species was first described in 1910. During the inaugural season in Antarctica in 2022, the Vikings team observed the giant phantom jellyfish 3 times. Wow. So out of 126 sightings in history, This one cruise saw it 3 times. That's pretty interesting. Thanks to the submersibles deployed from Viking's expedition ship, the Viking Octantis. Wow. The team documented these encounters through stills and video photography.
Stills.
Yeah, cell
I like
phones.
how they say stills, like it's not your iPhone camera.
They were people with an iPhone. A little
Maybe take a still of that creature.
Have you ever been in a little submarine?
I think I was on a submarine at Disneyland.
Yes.
Nemo's Adventure or something.
Well, this is very similar. This is very actually extraordinarily similar to what these are. I've been on one of these little tourist submarines. They're pretty fun. But yes, you are just sitting there with an iPhone looking out the window. The paper was authored by Viking's chief scientist with contributions from the submersible teams. It describes how personal submersibles, like the ones on Viking Octantis and Viking Polaris, can provide opportunities for biological research in polar regions. Man, do I want to go on one of these cruises.
I like how the sighting is considered a biological research. So if it wasn't scientists in there, just normal people, it wouldn't be considered biological research, right? It's just because there's scientists
it is normal
there.
People. There's no scientists there. I mean, maybe there's a scientist in the cockpit or with a megaphone or something, kind of entertaining the guests. But no, remember, this is a tourist submersible. They probably had a scientist in there going, and if you look to your left, you can see more water and an iceberg. And oh my goodness, it's the phantom jellyfish. And it's probably Dale from, who works in the engine room, they dress him up as a jellyfish and put some big tentacles on him and has to go swim around in the freezing water for 3 hours while the look at him go. And Dale's like, he's getting an extra ration at the shrimp buffet for volunteering.
He starts choking on his own costume.
Yeah,
looks like he's really struggling in there.
Oh no! Well, you're one of the. Look at that! Oh, we've seen him. Did you know, folks, that the phantom jellyfish has only been seen 126 times, 126 times in the history of humanity? Whoa, and we've seen him 3 times today! There he goes! We've named this one Dale. Oh, Dale's going up for water. Yes, going up for air. That's totally normal. The lead author, Dr. Daniel Moore, said, "It is extraordinary that we know so little about such large marine creatures as the giant phantom jellyfish. However, now we have the means to make regular observations at greater depth than previously possible, which provides an exciting opportunity for discovery." The paper is published in Polar Research, the scientific journal of the Norwegian Polar Institute, and can be read here. Okay, so a scientific paper that says, we saw a jellyfish.
We saw a jellyfish. Wouldn't you take a sample or something, a stool sample or ink sample,
really
something, if you want to do some real science and do some biology?
Really not sure. Wow, you can go check this. They have a download counter for this polarresearch.net. And this has been downloaded 419 times this month.
Oh.
It's popping off. Yeah, so there you go. Now, how does this fit in? Well, this fits in because, of course, Antarctica is used as a sort of a puppet geography, where since it is so remote and it is so sparsely populated and has such high degree of friction getting down there, that we've seen Antarctica be used and abused for scientific purposes. Not that people are blowing it up or something necessarily, although that has happened and will happen again, but that it almost does not matter whether good science is being done or not in Antarctica. It's not about the science. It's about the messaging that can be communicated. And we saw this right when, at the beginning of 2022, end of 2021, when cruise lines basically decided altogether that Antarctica is the next great frontier in cruising. And it's done under adventure or scientific tourism. And this is a pretty good draw. This is good PR. If you go on a vacation, go on the submarine excursion, and you can call yourself a scientist.
Well, you get to kill two birds with one stone. You get to tap into the tourist market, but also, if you look at this abstract from the paper here, it talks about how waters below 50 meters remain underexplored on the account of difficulty of access, financial barriers,
yes,
and relatively few operational platforms capable of deploying to such as that.
Status symbol.
Yes, so literally the funding they can get, great PR. We'd like to study more about these giant octopus or other creatures yet to be discovered. It's great, a great pitch to get some more money for the cruise line there. The Viking
yes, exactly. And the tourism, is a status symbol because it is still quite expensive to go to Antarctica in any form or fashion. We saw the status symbol.
Celebrities
reinforced, yes, with the celebrity cruise that we covered, I think, last episode. And so, this is a great example where you can pay a bunch of money, feel like a scientist, and get to be one of the puppeteers of the use of the geographical puppet that is Antarctica, which then. What was the organization? There's an organization, I believe it was the Bob Swan organization, where their goal is to bring people to Antarctica to make them Antarctic ambassadors. And they claimed that anyone who goes to Antarctica becomes an Antarctic ambassador and a representative of the scientific sort of narrative that Antarctica is melting and climate change and humans bad, and you go home and you passionately make this, the thing that you talk about at dinner parties every single time, and you become the annoying Antarctica guy because you're sort of you've been knighted almost as an Antarctic ambassador.
Become an ambassador.
Yeah, it's a broad. That was like a story last year, I think, at some time. I wish I could remember what the organization was. But that was kind of the whole point. We want to get as many people down there so they can become the mouthpiece of what is basically the Antarctic conspiracy. Which is takes and manipulates the science and even angers Antarctic scientists. So, Viking expeditions, call me. I want to go. I want to see Dale dressed up like a squid. I want to be a scientist.
You're not convinced, huh? You think that's just Dale?
I think it's Dale, but I got to see it to believe it.
Risk your life to see Dale in a costume.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good use of your time, energy, effort, and life.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else?
That's it. I'm
okay.
I'm spent.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for leaning in and making it through this episode. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all of our producers. With your time, your talent, your treasure, whatever you do, we appreciate your participation in keeping this show going. We couldn't do without you. Of course, we had our executive producer coming in, making sure that this whole thing was possible. We appreciate it very much. Trevor G, executive producer Trevor G. Of course, thank you to all the most important people in the world, the joiners of the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. Go to canarycryt-shirtcouncil.com. There it is. Thank you to the most important people in the world: Paul G, Ashley B, Yvonne V, Ivy E, and Derek H. You're next. You're next, dear listener. Join the illustrious secret society, the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. We are going to be joined soon because the council will be meeting to decide on the Canary Cry T-shirt to be created for this first go around. It's a big deal. You'll be on the inaugural council of deciding which shirt gets made, when, where, what colors, what design. It's a whole thing. We could not leave this up to just a single man. We need you all. We need as many voices as possible to make this decision. And of course, you will be receiving your reward at the end of the quarter. Go to canarycryt-shirtcouncil.com. Yep. And we got some other producers who make this show possible with their time. And let's thank them right now, starting with the Clippies.
Clippy on those videos. Thanks.
That's right. Emsworth, Faye Liver, and making sure the show gets clipped out, clipped up, and clip them up. Clip them out and clip it up. Clip them out. Clipping the show, getting them up at the Canary Cry Clips channel. Go subscribe to the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey. And they're making shorts, which are awesome. Share those shorts. Watch pieces of the show clipped up, ready for you to enjoy them, and share them with your friends. And make sure to send a little message to Faye Liverin and Emsworth for doing such a great job.
Yep.
What was I going to say? I was going to say, go follow the Canary Cry Clips channel. I said that part. I said the shorts. I said the clips. Nuts. I feel like there's something else I was supposed to say, and I can't remember what. Oh, how long do you think it'll take for Chris Shillzilla to realize that we have an entire playlist on our YouTube channel?
Somebody should link it in a comment.
I don't know if they should. Not yet. Don't do it yet. I think we need to wait until we need to have ink on paper that he's going to go on the show. Because, we've gone through an evolution of talking about Shillzilla, and maybe some of them weren't so nice.
We have to curate our own words.
That'll be a phase 3. If we can't get his attention other ways, then we will put together. We'll show him the playlist with like 80 videos that we've been diligently following his career for 3 months, 3 years. All right. Thank you to the Clippies. Appreciate it very much. Yep. And thank you to our timestampers.
Timestamp. It's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right. Timestampers are diligent. They are organized, and they are so beautiful. And we thank them because the timestamps are very important to so many of our back-end processes. Thank you to timestamper Jade B.
Jade Bouncerson, thank you.
Jade Bouncerson for doing the timestamps, episode 592. Yep. Thank you to our social media guy.
Social media consultant.
Thanks so much.
Social media.
Yes, Dame Miss G, the OV in the Deep Rivers, making sure the art gets up on the social media. Thank you very much. We have a potential TikTok producer.
Ooh, finally, Finally.
Waiting to hear back. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But if you're listening, potential TikTok producer, time for a check-in. Let's see what we can do. Thank you very much. Go to canarycrymeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetups.
It's happening, Gonz. The meetups, they're starting rolling. I knew there was some momentum building. We've got another meetup. But first, let's take a look at this fun picture from the EU meetup.
Yeah, the EU meetup happened. Mr. Jag sent us a little message with a couple photos. What happened to
and
the
they
photos?
were very fun photos. The message wasn't necessarily an exciting one for air, but it says, "Hi, Gonz Basil, meetup happened. This time, although only one person showed up, hey, you know what? Where two or more are gathered in Germany, there shall Canary Cry be." Showed up, but still it was great. It was a great meetup and planning more for the future. Mr. Jag. Thank you very much, Mr. Jag. Really proud of you guys. This is the most Euro thing I've ever seen. I love it. They've got gigantic Basil and Gonz heads, cutouts. The cutouts are available at canarycrymeetups.com. They're like 3 feet tall. And they are standing in front of some very Euro-looking graffiti somewhere. It was the skate park. That's what it was. Yeah. Is that a skate park? This might be the coolest, most, what's the word? So edgy, so Euro. I love this. Gigantic Basil and Gonz head cutouts. They're holding them in front of their heads, keeping the anonymity. I love it. You got the tagged up Euro skate park in the background. Thank you very much.
There's an alien in the second one.
Yes, some alien graffiti.
Yeah,
that is so cool. This is, I think, one of the things I'm most proud of. And to be honest, we've got a lot of things to be proud of, Gonz, and we're not afraid of saying it constantly. But I'm very proud of the meetups, and I'm very proud of the pictures that we get from the meetups. Real life people meeting up, having a good time. Even if they just met up to take pictures with these cool cutout heads, that's a good afternoon.
Here's my question about these photos.
Okay.
Who's the one taking them?
I've wondered that. Who is taking the picture? Huh.
Yeah.
Mysterious. Thank you very much, Mr. Jag. Everybody go to canarycrimemeetups.com because there's more meetups going on all the time. You want to list some of the meetups? I'm going to bring up the new meetup.
Yeah, so we need to hear more about...
Name the ones you got on there already.
Yeah, Let me bring Central Florida meetup. That's Rochelle Schmutz at gmail.com. I don't know if there's a date on that yet, so we'll keep up with that. Alaska meetup, March 11th, at the Eagle River. There's an email contact there. Missouri meetup, also March 11th.
Oh, that's the one I was going through right now.
Yeah, the Dogwood Canyon, Lampe, Missouri.
Yeah, let's see here. So we need a flyer. We'll put the stuff up on there. It's going to be at Dogwood Canyon in Lampe, Missouri. Mm-hmm. Come on, Missouri people. I know we have Missouri people. Stroll or rent bikes through the canyon, fellowship, climb up the Nephilim treehouse built by Treehouse Masters of the Animal Planet channel. Interesting. Bluffs, waterfalls, $1 Million View, trolley over into Buffalo territory in Arkansas. If you're interested, visit the website for more info. That's the Dogwood Canyon website. Saturday, March 11th, 2023. 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Nice day. Bring picnic lunch or eat at the snack bar. We are contacting Joyful Noise, but noise is spelled Noyz. So Joyful Noise, Noyz 19. Joyful Noise 19 at gmail.com.
The word full is 2 L's as well. Usually joyful is one.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
okay.
It's complicated.
So so it's joyful noise, yes. Not joyful. Joyful, 2 separate words. Joyful Noise 19 at gmail.com. Just go to canarycrimemeetups.com. You can find it there. We'll get a flyer for that. Thank you very much, Joyful Noise.
And then there's also the Eastern North Carolina meetup, but that's scheduled for September 2nd. Got some
September, planning ahead. Yep. I love it.
There you go. We got some stuff coming in.
Yep. Go to canarycrimemeetups.com. We'll see you at the meetup.
We shall.
This is fun! See you at the meetup.
Howdy, neighbor. Wouldn't you leave a review at canarycrynewstalk.com? Nope, don't leave it there. Head on over to Apple Podcasts. If you're listening to this podcast right now on Apple Podcasts, would you please leave a rating and a review? It sure would make us feel nice, and it would tell the robots to tell other people about the show. It's very important to us. I did notice that I think some people are leaving ratings and reviews on Canary Cry Radio.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's good. That is a different show, though, which I appreciate, because that means that those people are listening online. They're on the YouTube or they're on the Spotify or something. So Canary Cry News Talk, separate show. If you've left one on Canary Cry Radio, thank you. Go leave one on Canary Cry News Talk. It's very helpful. I had someone make an offer about doing some sort of giveaway in regards to ratings and reviews. So stay up on it. stay paying attention. Leave ratings and reviews. It really helps us out. It's not nothing. It really is not nothing. And other than that, just share the show. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends' family. Share it with Ernest Shackleton, polar explorer, and probably racist, just given what we know about that time of Imperial England. I don't know. But, share it with the ghosts of sailors who have been lost at sea and now inhabit the bodies of cute, adorable penguins. They also need to spend some time learning about how the mainstream media does not have their best interest at heart. Has anybody ever seen a YouTube channel entirely managed by Nephilim penguins? Because maybe there's an idea. If anybody out there is looking for a new career path, you could be some sort of social justice warrior for Nephilim penguins. And if people ask you why, you say, I care because of Canary Cry News Talk. Canary Cry cares. Well, gotta go get that URL now. Hold on. It's our now every episode segment where we have to purchase some domain. What did I say? Canary Cry cares, right? Okay.
I love the Great Reset.
Cry. Do you think .care is a thing? Canary Cry .care? Canary Cry .care is now in our shopping cart. I know exactly what to do with this one. Bro, what? Canary Cry .com. Oh, okay. Wow, I just had a total brain fart. CanaryCry.com is almost $3,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, I thought we had that. Isn't that? No, it's not. That's a Marvel thing. Mm-hmm. All right. CanaryCry.care is now a URL that we own. So stay posted. Stay up to date. Stay frosty. And if you need any more instructions, folks, we call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, just ask Noah. All right, Gonz, you got any last words?
I think we had a complete show today. We had a celebration of a birth. We had sad news of a passing.
Yes.
This episode is the circle of life.
Oh, yes. Look at that. Yeah. See, people think that we just kind of fumble through these things. They're very carefully crafted, and
not by us.
You look exactly.
It's not crafted by us.
Only a divine intelligence could put together such a comprehensive, big picture. In 3.5 hours.
And by the way, I was going to say this is a very long episode today.
It's a long one.
Yeah. So,
speaking of which, let's get out of here.
Then the show mix might be a little shorter today.
Okay.
Sorry, folks.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But till then, think outside the cave.
Feed him more.
It will kill.
We're all gonna die.
This is the way.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
We will hunt you down and make you pay.
news of the day gets to feeling like a maze. It's okay, don't be afraid if you don't know what to say. Canary, cry awaits. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry awaits. Canary, cry awaits. Oh, canary, cry awaits. Oh, the world's changing every day, each and every way you turn. There's another thing to learn. Reading in between the lines, thanking Jesus for our lives and eyes to see His glory shining like the sun. Run the race until it's done. Come on, everyone. Canary, cry awaits. Oh, canary, cry awaits. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away.
Armageddon's on the way.
And in the wilderness, where you have seen how the Lord your God carried you, as a man carries his son, all the way that you went until you came to this place. Even to your old age, I am He, and to gray hairs I will carry you. I have made, and I will bear. I will carry, and will save. For He will command His angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone.
I will say one thing, though. I love Canary Cry News Talk. It's got everything. It's the best podcast. I think outside the cage, you know what I mean? Hit the subscribe button. It's not fake news, not at all.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun.
Bye-bye, bye-bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.